Yes, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. We managed to get through by hook or by crook, and Tottenham have their name in the fourth round of the FA Cup. I'm having a Pringle. I'm astonished by the level of entertainment that was on offer today. Reaches new levels of a caliber I've never seen. Friday night football, wow. It was an absolute shambles. We managed to get it done, but you know what? If we were playing against a better team with that 11 and that level of effort for 75 minutes, where to start? Where to start? I'll tell you where we're going to start. I'm going to start by saying, big up, Ren. Welcome to the Spurs Talk Show. Whether you're a puppy or a pony, I'm not sure, but I really appreciate your support. Looking forward to meeting you on one of the fan cams or the fan phoning things, if you would like to, as we do them next week and the week after. We're going to start doing them once a week, hopefully. I'm up in the content here, guys, a lot this year. It's going to be a big shift in effort. A little bit in the opposite of what happened tonight. In a minute, guys, we've got some people coming on. We've got James from Spurs Related. We've got Jack. We've got Jacob from United Spurs of America. We should have Ashmatic. We've got Sava. We might have Adrian Schroker. Johnny as well from Twitter. Johnny H3232 from Twitter. They're all looking to come on when they get away from whatever it is they're currently doing. But guys, I mean, let's start with the first chat. Wow, says Billy P. This game shows we need attacking reinforcements just as a centre-back. As I say, guys, if that's what we're going to put out, I did manage to go and get myself a colder version of that beer. So I'm going to see if it tastes any sweeter. Pedro Porro, of course, is the man of the match. We're going to talk about that in just a moment as well. 285 people in the house, guys. Really appreciate it. Smash the like button for me. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And all that jazz. Let's see. Get your comments in, guys. Let me know what your thoughts were. We're going to start going through them all. And then as soon as the boys come in and the girls, if there are any girls who want to come on, then they're going to get their takes as well. I think you've heard most of mine so far. It's not great. Let me just make sure I've got the stats ready to go as well. And we'll go through it. What do I need to do? I need to share my screen. Tottenham Hotspur. Bing, bang, bong. Is it there? Where am I? Here we go. Before we get into that, though, so lucky Porro scored that screamer. Yeah, unbelievable. We got us out of trouble. Mike Matteo, piss poor game, and we're all going to get. I'm a defender. I say go and buy another attacking midfielder. Lot to digest for January the 14th game versus Manchester United, says St. Martin. Mate, St. Martin, yes. If we play like that against Manchester United, I don't care how bad Manchester United are. They can't be worse than Burnley. We gave up chances. We gave up a chance right at the end. We gave up the first chance of the game as well. Not good enough. I'd love to have heard that. Is Brennan? I don't know if Pedro Porro can speak English. When I met him, he didn't want to speak English to me. And he was just at an interview there, so I don't know if he actually gave the interview. Let me know if you guys are watching that on ITV. Did Pedro Porro speak? Did Pedro Porro speak in English, or did he speak in Spanish? What was going on? Roy Viker, member of the channel, big up Ben. My God, that was hard to watch, but we are through. Thank you, Porro, 100%. We were trash. Porro quality strike dug us out. Would rather see Scarlett start. Showed more than Richie in the 10 minutes he was on. I can't wait to find out what the people that are coming on in a second, I can't wait to get their takes on some of these performances. Jacob's going to be in a second. Saville's coming at 10:30. James is going to be on in 5 minutes. Jack's coming too in a second as well. All right. Well, that was painful. Skip might just be the most pointless player in Spurs history. What actually is he? Wow. 1 second. Let me just make sure I've got the link to these guys. Bang. Bang. Sorry, guys. Give me 2 secs. There's the link. And there's the link. And last thing I've got to do, where is he? Jack Burford link. Bosh. I think everyone who needs the link has now got the link. I mean, look, you saw that most pointless player in Spurs history. I don't know about Ryan Cesegnon. He might have a shout for that. What was Ryan Cesegnon? He's had a good Christmas, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He's had a very good Christmas. Pierre Mahoybier was absolutely atrocious, but you know what? He was in the right place at the end there to save our blushes. He's kept the ball out in the last minute. Burnley had loads of chances. I can't believe, what's his name? I think it was Cullen at the end. Was it Cullen? I think it was Cullen. No, 25. Who's 25? Excuse me. Who was 25? Oh, Am Downey. It was Am Downey that misses it. Wow. Van der Ven was warming up, so that's good. Bentancur, more match fit. Yeah, listen, Bentancur, at times in that game, Bentancur was fantastic. The way he could keep the ball, it was like glued to his foot. 2 or 3 people were pressing him. But I've got to be honest, it's very easy to pick the players that deserve a little bit of credit. Pedro Porro, not only for the world-class world-class shot on the goal that got us through, but he's always fighting, always trying to go forward. And you've got to appreciate that about him. I thought Lo Celso had a decent first half. I got no idea why he was taken off ahead of Ollie Skip. Absolutely none. Bentancur, I thought, was good and got better as the game went on. Destiny Udogie was sensational. Emerson Royale, not sensational, was one of our better players. Emerson Royale was pretty good. But Ollie Skip, Kulusevski, Richarlison, and Brennan Johnson, not good enough for me. Really hard watch, says Liam. Completely agree. Maddison, possibility. Well, we're going to need him back. But he won't be playing against Manchester United. He might get 10 minutes at the end or something. But Richarlison is terrible. Get rid ASAP. That was a shocker. Stradders says, big up Stradders. Hope you're okay. Barely scraped through. Hill gives nothing. Hopefully Solomon will be fit. Solomon is so important. So very important to our creativity over the next month, 6 weeks. I also think that, once again, this highlights how much of an important player Pape Matar Sarr is. And guys, Adam William Cahill, if you're listening, on the Irish Hotspur a couple of weeks ago, we had a giggle when you suggested you wouldn't sell Sarr for 70 million quid. And I was like, of course you would. I've been thinking about it more and more. It's a lot of money, £70 million, but Pape Sarr seems to be the glue. When he's in the team, more often than not, everybody else seems to perform better. When he's not, we don't. Maybe it's just a difference between him and Ollie Skip or Højbjerg, but that was a tough game. We weren't crap at all. Don't know what game everyone else was watching. Decent, hard fight, hard-fought win, and okayed some great footy. I think we must have been watching a different game, mate. I thought that was a terrible game. Here we go. We've got someone in. Jack Burford's in the house. What's happening, Jack from Spurs Rated? How are you, Jack? Good to see you.
I'm doing well, mate. Glad we're in the next round because I've got to be honest, the football wasn't pretty or perfect tonight. But what a goal by Pedro Porro. That's put a smile on my face. Apart from that, let's be honest, we played a lot better this season.
Mate, well, yeah, 100%. Mate, listen, I don't even know where to start. I almost want to reverse engineer this. I want to start with the things that don't require too much time, but I want to get them. I think they're quite funny. Ryan Cesegnon, has he been like hanging around with Tanguy and Ndombele or something? He's put on a few pounds, hasn't he, mate?
Yeah, he's not exactly looking his slimmest, is he? He needs to get down to the old sports physio, needs to sort him out. Maybe lay off the McDonald's with Ndombele. But at the end of the day, I'm glad he's back and he's fit and he's on the pitch and he hasn't pulled a hamstring. So then again, who am I to question him? He's a professional athlete, but you're not far from wrong.
I want to see this. Let me get this up for a second. How do I do this? Move, bring it in. I want to see how many times he touched the ball and how many times he he actually gave it away, because I think every single time I saw him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had loads of space out wide and he controlled it, got it stuck under his foot, and it went out of play.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Let me see. Where's it gone? Tottenham, Burnley. Lineups. We can go through this in detail, but I just want to get to I want to look at him specifically, just very quickly. Ryan Cesegnon. Can you see this on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Touches 10. 5 out of 5 passes. Possession lost 3 times. Okay, so yeah, he gave the ball away 30% of the time he touched the ball. Yeah. I thought it was worse than that, to be honest. Dribble attempts 1 out of 0.
He had one chance, didn't he? He got in one promising position that I thought he just hit wide, but it was I think it was saved actually by, was it Muric at the Burnley keeper? But
bit of a worldy performance from that keeper today, wasn't it?
Yeah. But he nearly, he nearly created the goal in the last minute. I had the head in hands. I was like, this has got 1-0 Burnley written all over it, or it's got a 1-1 draw back to their place for another dire game at Turf Moor. And then Amadouni, is it? Missed in the last second. But I've got
yeah.
How many? Oh, look, today we got through the game. Spurs teams in previous years, that Weldy, that Porro scored would have been from someone from Burnley's side. How many times have we seen it? I think Middlesbrough, one of their youngsters, went on like an amazing run and slotted it past Lloris at the time. Like, we've got the job done today. That is the main positive I can bring.
Right, yeah. It's all about getting through, live to fight another day, which we do. But for me, I think there's like 4 or 5 players that played today. I think they could say can hold their head up high.
Yeah.
But 4 or 5 players need to be ashamed of themselves. I'd rather start with the poor.
Okay.
Richie.
Oh my word. Look, I'm like, you know me, I'm optimistic Jacko, and I say that a lot, and I give Richie credit when he deserves it. But what I can't understand is how many, like, when he's about to take a shot, or even with his back to goal, why does he look like he's falling over all the time? I can't, like, in the centre of gravity, he doesn't plant his foot and then shoot. I'm like, you're in front of the goal. You're about to, like, he's confusing himself before he shoots. He doesn't know what he's going to do. That's what I saw tonight. He was fantastic with Brennan Johnson scoring 6 yards in front of goal. And to be honest, I like Richarlison. I can't help but like him. I just like his aura, and I know he wants to do well. But, like, he was played through twice on goal. He's already stumbling. He doesn't place his foot before he strikes the ball. Everyone who's played football will understand you need to have your body weight going through the ball when you strike it. He just never looks ready to score. And it's so frustrating because you're like, you paid £60 million for this player and you really want him to do well. But every time you see him in a promising position, or does he ever look like he's going to create something for himself, Sean? Because in my opinion, it has to be on a plate for him.
100%. Every one of the 5 goals that he scored was in the last month or whatever. You know, let's not forget what one of them was obviously with a header. He's good at first touch finishes or first touch opportunities when Brennan Johnson puts it on a plate.
Well, he doesn't have time to think.
What's that?
When he doesn't have time to think, he's actually okay. But when he tries to think about and structure what move he's going to do, is he going to drop a shoulder? Is he going to take it on the back turn and then shoot? It all goes out the window. The composure is not there. But like you say, first time finishing, he's done very well.
100%. Jacob, how you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm good. Just been fighting a toddler, which, wow. Just wow. I was reading one of the comments. Yeah, no. Hey, anyone who has a toddler, you just have moments where you take a breath. You know, watching a game and a toddler as well at the same time is quite. You know, they say they are like little Pokemon. They're just up to no good. You can't really control them, but you love them a lot. But the game, honestly, did not like that game at all. Not outside of Pedro Porro's right foot, there wasn't much to enjoy about that, I thought, from any standpoint. It was just a flat performance. It just seemed like we were uncreative, missing attacking options. Brennan Johnson, I think I took a screenshot because the broadcast put it up at one point. Brennan Johnson had 10 touches in the opposition's box in the 37 minutes and 45 seconds. He had 10 touches in the opposition's box, and to not even do anything except put his shot on target, I don't even think was from the box. I think he was outside the box technically, but Yeah, I was kind of bored. I was kind of really bored. I think it was one of our worst performances. Thankful we got through. I heard you earlier, Sean, and I do agree. If we play like that versus Manchester United, we are done for. I don't care how bad they are. Marcus Rashford, they're waiting on a miracle. They're waiting on Dr. Tottenham. Shout out Sean Millis and that great song that he's got going on over there for Hoyland. But man, really frustrating to watch that, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Shout out to Ashmatic back on the channel, first time in a while, buddy. How are you?
Man. I'm not bad, man. I'm not bad. How are you guys? You guys good?
Wow, it's a tough watch that, mate. And doing the solo watch along, it's not something that I'm too used to doing because I'm usually at the game, so it's difficult to do it when it's a good game of football, let alone when it's a terrible game. And there was so many sort of breaks in that game, so many times in that game where there was just nothing to talk about. But now I got some crew with me. Great to see you, Ash. Another one is joined as well as James. How you doing, James? Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, boys. I think I need a bit of therapy after that, honestly. Nearly lost my mind the last 10.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I want to start by asking. Let's start with Jacob on this one. Take your pick of a player that you want to talk about. You know what? I said we're going to start about the bad. Let's start with the good. Let's get the good out of the way because I think that the bad is going to be a little bit more interesting. I think there's a lot more critique. Of the players on the pitch, Jacob, who do you think was who played well today over the 90 minutes?
Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro played well. Destiny Udogie, I thought he was pretty good throughout all facets going forward defensively. Throughout the entire 90, I thought Kulusevski was invisible that first half. The second half, he actually started to do something, which was nice. So he gets a half of a mention.
I thought it was one of his worst games in the shirt today.
Well, he at least touched the ball and he took a couple. He did something in the second half, which was more than he did in the first half. I remember I was just sitting there at halftime thinking, like, Brennan Johnson has been extremely wasteful or predictable or both. Richarlison. You said the good. Sorry, we're supposed to be talking about the good. My bad.
Yeah, the good.
Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro, that right foot. Also, shout out their goalkeeper because he was making mistakes left and right as far as his distribution goes, and he threw that right into the lap of Pedro Porro. Shout out João Felix for that as well.
Ash, Emerson Royale today. I thought he had. I thought he was pretty good. I thought he tidied things up quite well and. It leads me to think, if Radu Dragusin, the deal is done over the next couple of days and Mickey van der Ven didn't get any minutes, with a performance like that from him today, does it give you more confidence that we might be okay against United with him at the back, even if, like I say, if Dragusin is done but isn't ready and Mickey van der Ven isn't? What's your thoughts on Emerson Royale today?
First of all, I heard our Davies' hamstring's a little bit tight. So I think Mickey might need to come in. I'm not sure. So he's been playing back-to-back games, Davies, and he's been doing a lot of running. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mickey does come in straight away. But I too agree with you. Emerson Royale, for me, was looking very busy. He looked confident on the ball. My only discretion against him is that sometimes he wasn't confident enough to play that forward pass. He would go back quite a lot of the time. And I know why he does it, just to keep possession, to keep the ball ticking over. He gives it back to the goalkeeper so we don't lose it, which I'm not mad at because I know his skill set. But there were times where he did play the ball forward or he did travel with the ball and he defended quite well as well, I thought, in my opinion. If I'm being positive, we're talking about the positive play, I'm going to move on to Bentancur. For me, when the ball comes into Bentancur, he sees the picture early. So he's able to play that first-time pass. He doesn't lose it, which is more important. If you give it to him, he says, don't lose it. He doesn't lose it. So, like, for me, he was good in midfield. I felt like he should be further forward, in my opinion. I know he's the sixth for us. He's more the anchor. He does help with transitions. He helps us to play out from the back. He gives us stability. He gives the players confidence. And he helps us move that ball really quickly. Because I thought that was a problem for Spurs in the first and second half. We weren't moving it quick enough. Too many touches on the ball.
Yeah, it was slow, wasn't it?
It kind of made them sit in their defensive block and their low block at times. I thought Who else? Your doggy-ish, and Porro-ish again. Porro, yes, because he scored the goal. And that was pretty much it. After that, I'm struggling. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, there wasn't too many positives out of the game for me.
Yeah.
James, I'll sort of same question, mate. I mean, I personally thought that Udogie was the best player in the first half for me. I thought he was really good. Second half, I think he went off the ball a little bit. But James, talk about the positives. Who do you think was kind of walks off the pitch with their head held high?
Yeah, I'm surprised you. I would summarize it much more simply than you guys just did. I would say the back four were all either good or really good. So I'd say Emerson Royal had a decent game. Ben Davies didn't put a foot wrong and actually saved us with a couple of last-ditch tackles a couple of times as well. So Ben Davies, again, unsung hero once again. And Porro, I thought was really good. Probably wouldn't have been man of the match if he didn't score that belter, of course, but thought he was fantastic. And Udogie, like you said, Sean, was really good first half, but went off the boil. And I actually thought at times Lo Celso brought the ball forward well, and I wouldn't have taken him off before. Who came off? Lo Celso came off before Skip. Like, why? I don't understand that. I don't want to go off on one, but I don't quite understand what Skip does in a game. He sort of runs a lot, gets fouled a lot, and makes fouls. That's how I summarize his game. I mean, he's not very good on the ball. He doesn't provide assists. He doesn't score goals. He doesn't really fill me with confidence defending. He just runs a lot. Ollie Skip, he skips around. That's essentially in his name. Like, genuinely. Please, someone on this panel tell me what Ollie Skip does for Tottenham. I'm sorry.
I think on the commentary, I was like, I completely agree with you. I have no idea. I thought Lo Celso was busy, and I think if you're trying to get creativity and you're not quite picking something out, then why on God's green earth would you take off the one guy who has the creative sort of element to his game in the first half and hadn't played badly? It doesn't make any sense to me.
As soon as Lo Celso went off, our creativity went. And I actually put a tweet out at like the 55th, 60th minute and said, you've got a problem up front when your most creative players are your fullbacks. Because Porro and Udogie were the ones coming in, especially Udogie coming in essentially in that inverted fullback and actually creating. Whereas we should have a midfielder that creates. We know Maddison's out, but Lo Celso, like I said, didn't have his best game, but did make some good runs. But then there's no one else in that midfield that's really creating. Brennan Johnson, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about him in a bit, but
could we try and say a positive from this is that we just controlled a match and ended up getting the goal that won? I am trying to think of this in a positive way because I don't like to come away from a win really feeling necessarily bad about it, because at the end of the day, we did win. We do advance to the next round. We do keep the cup hopes alive. And at the end of the day, I feared for this result for a few reasons, because Ange Postecoglou was going to be damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Yeah, either way, he chose to start the lineup. Either way, he chose to make his substitutions. Like they said, we got a clean sheet. We're through to the next round. There are some positives. Over 60% possession for majority of that match. I know I'm trying to think of a way that this is a good thing, that we controlled a match with very little strong names in our starting 11. Like Richarlison, I think it was you, Sean, I heard before the match saying that he is in a little bit of a purple patch right now, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily, I don't know if it was you or who said it, but someone said that Richarlison's like basically in a little bit of a purple patch right now, and that doesn't mean that necessarily he's banging goals left and right. Some of his goals are just part of what a striker should be doing. And today, part of what a striker should be doing is putting it at least one of those 2 to 3 chances he had easy in the box. Maybe not easy, but
mud, mate. Honest to God, I sit there and watch him.
Why would he shoot? It's like when you're taking a shot in your dreams. You know how when you're in your dreams and you punch and you're like, I'm putting all my force, and it just you can't really punch. That's what his shots are like. I'm like, now boot that thing. You know how I guess I got spoiled with Harry Kane, Youngman's son. They got strong legs. They could really put some velocity on that ball. But watching with Charles, it's like, and it like dinkers across the goal, and even the goalkeeper's watching it. It's just, at what point I want him to be good. I want it. We all want the vibes, right? Go Richarlison. I want it. I love doing the pigeon dance in rivals' faces. 7 goals or Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, sorry, mate. I was just going to say, I actually thought Richarlison was frustrating, but I actually thought Brennan Johnson was more frustrating today because he had the ball more and he should have done more with it. And there was like genuinely 3 or 4 times in the first half where he did the most tame through ball with no real sort of look up. He just sort of did that same rolling through ball that was never going through to Richarlison. You could argue Richarlison should have made better runs, but a couple of the times it wasn't Richarlison. And it's just a bit brainless from Brennan Johnson sometimes. Like it does frustrate me a little bit. I mean, I really do hope
he's
the guy
a very
comes
frustrating
good,
player.
James,
but he's frustrating, and that's how I summarize it.
Could you argue with Brennan Johnson? In my opinion, this is the only bit of credit I will give him. Every time he's far more threatening than Richarlison. If Richarlison's running through on goal, is he going to pluck it down like Brennan Johnson did? Is he going to drive at the fullbacks? And I felt like he did that a bit more. Credit to Pedro Porro, who always puts the ball on the plate. When he plays those crossfield balls, you know it's going to land on his foot every time. And I just feel like in those first 10, 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes, our most threatening player was definitely Brennan Johnson. Yes, a couple of times it's annoying when he plays that through ball to Udogie, when actually Udogie's creating the space for Brennan Johnson to shoot. And I want to see him really take on the defenders and have a go, because that's what you want from your wingers. But I think it's unfair to say that he's even more frustrating than Richarlison when Johnson is the one kind of pushing the game. In my opinion, he was the only one who looked like scoring in that first half.
No, he didn't, because he genuinely, I don't think the guy can score.
Like, he had that one shot. I'll give him credit. That was a great shot. You know,
Jake,
one of those nice ones.
That, mate, it was like right down the middle of the keeper.
This is from a goalie's perspective, Tonya. I like that shot. Just a nice curler right into the. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Use the defender, curl it. What a bad effort, and I want to see more of that. I'd rather him take on players, have a shot from distance, really drive with it.
I do.
Be afraid to shoot.
I do feel bad for Johnson a little bit because we all know through the left, I don't really think he's good. I don't know that anyone has seen a great performance from him on the left. Anytime he had decent performances for Nottingham Forest, it was through the middle. When we play him on the right, he looks better than when he plays on the left. Jack, you brought up a point that he does threaten that back line, I think, more than Richarlison. But Richarlison still had his chances. So I still see it like, Richarlison, you were right there. 2 clear-cut opportunities to do something. Just keep doing what you're doing. And he was complaining earlier before the game. I think it was today. He was replying on Instagram to EAFC's Player of the Month nominations. And I guess he feels scorned that he wasn't nominated. And instead of worrying about that, why don't you learn? Just shoot the ball. Just shoot the ball. You're a shooter. You're supposed to just shoot, man.
I don't think he is, though. I don't think he is. I think Jack.
What is he?
Well, honest to God, I think Jack made the point at the start of the show, at the top of the show, that unless the ball is put on a plate to him, unless he's like not thinking about it, then if he's got any time on the ball, he thinks too much. He overcomplicates everything. Ash, come in here, man. What's your take on Richarlison? As a striker, generally, he's not a good enough footballer, is he, for Tottenham's system?
So there's a couple of things I would say, even without Richarlison. I think there was times where we were on the ball and we had 6 men up front. 6 men were up front when we had the ball. Now, sometimes the midfielders would play it too slow. Why? No movement. No movement. We're very rigid sometimes. When we're in that kind of that 2-3-5 and all the attackers are pushing forward, they just kind of wait for it. They don't kind of interchange in that position. Richarlison is one of the biggest culprits for me because Richarlison, all he does, and when we're high up the pitch, he doesn't do it too much. He might drop off that front line to receive it, but that's only when we're playing out from the back. When the ball's coming into him, he might do that little small run and try to hold up the play. But even that, he doesn't do at an elite level, which we need to bring in other players like your Johnsons that everyone's complaining about, like your Kulus that everyone's complaining about. We need space to run in behind, but it needs to be quality from that forward so they can pass into the channels. And if they can get into those channels and those balls are passed early, or sometimes when that ball comes in, Richie has to play it first time to catch their defense out because we're trying to draw them out because the ball's coming into Rich. They want to press on him tight. That's when that ball has to come in first time. But Rich might want to take a touch or two to get it under because I understand it is quite fast paced. But for me, forget all of that. The actual movement from Richarlison is poor. He's not running from out to in. He's not taking defenders with him. And as a result of that, our wingers, we're not isolating 1v1 because we're not having Richarlison making those moves where we can have Sir Johnson versus their fullback or a winger, if that makes sense. Yeah. So for me, when I was analysing not Richarlison, actual Johnson, when he was at Nottingham Forest, he needs a lot of volume of shots to get goals, if that makes sense. So he will shoot, and he's not clinical, if that makes sense. He's not as clinical as a forward, in my opinion. From when I was looking at him at Forest, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He can cross. I think when he was on the wing, the movement from Johnson and other players, not just Johnson, not just Richarlison, the movement from other players, they weren't doing enough. And that's why every time it came into him, he was crossing, but he wasn't doing any cutbacks. I don't know if you guys noticed that. There was hardly any cutbacks from Johnson. Sometimes you want your winger to go on the outside. Sometimes you want him to slow it down, come on the inside and switch it up to keep your defenders, your fullbacks guessing. But that rarely happened. They looked a little bit rigid and a bit predictable. And that's the reason why the midfielders were a bit slow on the ball, because they were like, there's no movement here. There's no like, have you ever done that? Played football and you're like, I don't know what to do because there's no movement. And so what happened was we played like a shoehorn. We started passing from all the way from right to left, and it looked so slow and lethargic because these guys were just stuck in the mud instead of being and changing in positions, dropping short, one goal long, one goal wide. Do you know what I'm saying? None of that was happening.
That's what I was saying. I think our best football this season, one of our best games, was actually against Burnley away at Turf Moor. If you saw one of the goals we scored when Son scored, it was we were popping the ball about quickly, whether it was short, whether we were using the width, and we were using the technical ability of Porro to find that pass into Son. But you didn't have time to think. Burnley did not have time to collect themselves together because we were constantly keeping the tempo high. And today, I thought our touch was sluggish, the tempo was slow, and that's the main reason we didn't create as many chances. Tottenham at their best, when they don't give the opposition time to think, they're popping the ball quickly, everyone's getting the ball out of their feet, and that's when I think we're at the best. And then you've got the creativity of Porro, who can play those balls into the box or play the balls in behind and use the pace of Johnson.
It was too many touches, in my opinion. Too many touches, and that's what slowed the game.
I have a lovely quote if you want to indulge for a second. So Postecoglou was saying that Ben Davies has basically done his hamstring. Giovanni Lo Celso came off as well because he was not 100%, and he's hoping that it's tiredness. And then they ask, so can you afford to lose Eric Dyer after this latest injury to Ben Davies? And he said, yes, we can afford to lose him. Hey, so that's another good to come. Postecoglou's like, I don't give a damn.
Hang on, so Ben Davies has done his hamstring.
He said done his hamstring. He said he says it appears Ben Davies has done his hamstring. So that's done.
What I'm saying to you, bro. We need a left-sided centre back. Imagine.
Unbelievable.
Imagine.
My manager doesn't miss though. I like that.
Every single game, there's a hammy. Every single game, something goes wrong.
The way we play, though. It's the way we play.
It's so good as well. Ben Davies has been stellar for Tottenham. Like genuinely, probably one of our best players. And actually, I will give one of our. I will give big credit, in my opinion, to actually Emerson Royale today. I think he comes under a lot of fire, rightly so, sometimes for his positioning. But I think he prevented a lot of goals today when I think their forwards were going through. They had quite a tricky winger as well. I forgot his name. But he was driving the ball well. He was creating opportunities. But Emerson was actually holding his position, realising when he had to come across. And to be honest, he deserves credit. I think he was probably one of our best players.
Yeah, Odegaard was a problem from my left side. Yeah, Emerson Royal, boy.
Emerson, yeah.
At half time, sorry guys, I just got in. At half time, I was going, Emerson Royal is the best player on the pitch. People said, I think you need to go and see someone. But
no,
for me,
I agree.
For me, he was overall the 90 minutes. I'm glad I'm not going mad. Thanks for endorsing it. Sorry, guys, for interrupting.
No, he was good. I thought he was good. But I mean, there was 2 or 3 players that were that can come off the pitch with their head held high. There wasn't a lot of positives from tonight. What was the atmosphere in the stadium like, Johnny?
Well, actually, at the beginning, I was thinking to myself, wow, I mean, you know, the atmosphere's been up on the previous couple of games, surprisingly. But then it wasn't long before it set in. I mean, I'm not being funny. I actually fell asleep, and I thought I'd woken up and was watching Conte ball. It literally sent me into a coma. That first half was tragic, absolutely tragic. And I was thinking, it was so slow. It was everything that Ange ball isn't meant to be. I don't know what they said about it on the TV. It was cold tonight, but it was a hard watch.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't make the journey up there. I've been drinking lukewarm, non-alcoholic beer instead, and it didn't make the game any more enjoyable. Like I don't know. I mean, I want to just carry on with this conversation about Richie for a second. Like, are we? Because I've been taking pelters over the last 5 weeks from people on Twitter saying that I was wrong about Richarlison. I don't think I am wrong about Richarlison. I think he had a little purple patch. I think Jack nailed it with the fact that, Brennan Johnson was putting balls on a plate. One touch me. He's got no time to think about it. Today, he had a lot more responsibility. Without Son there to help him, he was the guy who had to lead at the top end of the pitch. Decky again. We'll talk about Decky in a second. But
cool.
For me, I just worry a little bit about Richarlison. I don't know if it's confidence. I don't know if he overthinks it. But for me, like, if he's the solution for the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, until Sonny's back, I'm really worried because we give away opportunities against a better team. Burnley had 4 or 5 really good opportunities tonight. They didn't take them. If we're gonna score one more than you, Ange ball, not with that sort of performance at the top end of the pitch. So I'm really worried about where do we go for the Saturday game or for Sunday against United? Are we going to stick with the same 3 up front?
Multiple culprits, Sean. Listen. Richarlison, I've stuck up for him, but tonight he was poor. I mean, his highlight of the whole game was that tracking back for that interception to break up the play just as Burnley looked like they were about to unleash a shot. He had two, but I thought the service was shocking. I mean, Kulu tonight was one of the worst games I've seen him play. I mean, I was waiting for him to ignite in the second half when he moved inside, but even that didn't happen for him. I don't think there was much service. Some of the IQ and some of the balls in as well from Johnson and that they were poor. I thought there was no flow up front. I don't know what you guys thought.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think you're right. I think in terms of Kulu, you know what? Let's go back to Richarlison because you want to talk about Richarlison. So Richarlison, for me, this is his level. We're not going to see a better Richarlison, in my opinion. In terms of like what I mean by that, let me not cook him. Let me not cook him. Let me not do that. Let me not. Come on,
Ash. Don't be.
No. Let me not do that. Listen. As you guys said, when it's on a plate, he has less time to think about it. He's a devil. You know what I'm saying? He's a handful. He's a maniac. But in terms of an actual football player, in terms of him creating chances for himself, in terms of him being clinical, like in certain areas in the box, I think that's just his level. When you put it on a plate, he can finish. Ask him to do anything else out of that, you struggle. You struggle with Richarlison. That's basically his level, in my opinion. I think he's a hard worker. I think he, like I said before, he looks after the ball decently, quite well, but he's not a person that can get the ball into feet first time and pass it around someone. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we need when we're playing balls super quick, super fast. And then that opens it up for like a Johnson or a 1v1 versus for Kulu. Do you know what I mean?
It's a big drop-off, Ash, wasn't it? It was a big drop-off.
Yes, a massive. And I agree with you. It wasn't just Richarlison. It's moving parts because I said when Johnson had the ball in the corner, he's looking to cross it into someone, but there's no movement. Everyone's just stuck in the mud waiting. Now, if you're just stuck in the mud waiting and you get your head up, you're thinking, I got to cross this ball early. And that's why he panicked. But had the player been moving, he would have seen it in his peripheral. He would have seen it a little bit earlier. He might have then said, let me do a cutback because I know that Richarlison sometimes likes to arrive at the near post. Or I know that Kulu's going to swap over with Richarlison. Just what I'm trying to say. There was no interchangeable moments. There was no fluidity. There was no one short, one long, as I was saying before. And that's what killed us. The front three weren't clicking, in my opinion. And that's how I think we were a bit lackluster.
Listen, Ash, I completely agree with your analysis on Richarlison 100%. James, I want to ask you, Decky today, was Richarlison's performance hindered a little bit by? I mean, Decky was well off the boil, right? I love Decky. I think he offers so much, but I thought today, James, he was slow, lethargic. Didn't really feel like he was. He went back a little bit to that sort of frustrating Decky from at the start of the season. I don't know if you agree, James.
I agree, and I've used the word frustrated a couple of times since I've been speaking, but Decky was frustrating because he just seems to. He sort of runs down the right, and then you know what's going to happen, right? He's going to cut in on that left, but previously in the season he stopped doing that, and he'd go right sometimes. He'd go on his right foot and then put the crossing with the right, even if it wasn't as good. But he started to do this thing again where literally 9.9 times out of 10 he'll cut in on his left. And to be fair, he nearly scored. If you remember, I say nearly. I don't know how close it was, but he nearly put on top left. It probably was further away than I thought, but that's all he did. Other than that, he just kept running into his man, and you knew what was happening. Burnley had sussed him out. The fullback had sussed him out. It's frustrating. The whole front three was frustrating tonight. I really thought it.
Yeah.
Can I just ask Sean? I don't know because I didn't watch it on TV, but I counted at least 5 times they went through the back of Lo Celso, and the referee just seemed to do absolutely nothing. To the point where I think near the end of the first half, he's almost hobbled off. I'm not sure whether that was the reason why
he got stabbed on, mate. He got the first free kick went his way, and then it felt like the referee gave everything like for little shoulder barges in the first 10 minutes. He blew the whistle more times than necessary, and then all of a sudden, I think he might have felt that Lo Celso was trying to buy something because he fell over a little bit easy on one. And then after that, Lo Celso got hit 3 or 4 times and the referee didn't give him anything at all. You know?
Because I thought that there was a moment where, because I think there is a good chemistry between Lo Celso and Bentancur. I'm not going to go too much into it, but today again showed me how low Oliver Skip is, because when Højbjerg came on, the passes were, it was just better. But those tackles reminded me a bit of the Chelsea game, when the first 10-15 minutes they were coming through the back of us again and again and again, and we got nothing. And then we got frustrated and lost our heads. I mean, we didn't lose our heads today, but it looked to me like Lo Celso was almost taken out of that game in the second half of that first half.
He definitely looked like he definitely looked like he picked up a couple of the midfield
just looked Bentancur is just absolute class. I mean, even at half mast, but I think we can get better, guys. I think that is a low level lackluster performance all round.
Can I be honest quickly about Lo Celso? I think, Johnny, you're right. There was a few challenges on him, but I have to be honest, I think he was making a meal out of a couple of them. The stamp wasn't really
he just fell on him, didn't he, kind of thing.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I think Lo Celso, it's that classic sort of Lamella vibe to him, where he kind of tries to get a player sent off.
Shithousery. You can't
shithousery, exactly.
But I think he was genuinely. I actually think when I saw him go off in the first half, he just did genuinely look like he was like holding his leg. I don't know, because you can't. It's harder to tell, up in the stands sometimes than it is, on television, where you can get a good look. But I just think we don't complain enough. I watch Arsenal. I hate to mention them, but every challenge, they're in the ref's face, or they're complaining or moaning. Even the penalties, like the penalty appeals, we didn't appeal for a penalty once.
And there was a couple that looked, questionable, 50-50s. But
we didn't question. There was no question. Yeah. There was no throwing the arms up. There's none of that.
Do you know why? Do you know why, Johnny? Because there wasn't a captain on the pitch, a proper captain. A captain. Correct. Even Sonny waves his hands in the air and gets even the crowd.
At two different points, there was 2 captains of their nations, though. I mean, so you would assume that there would be some kind of captainship there on the pitch.
You want to see more. You just want to see more. I want to see that fire and passion, appealing for everything, influence the referee. I feel like Arsenal and other big clubs influence the referees by that constant berating. You don't have to be in their face and going completely mad, but having a word with the referee. Sometimes it can go too far, but I feel we're getting bookings just for the tackles. I want to see a little bit more passion and fight for every decision. And tonight, I just thought tonight was very, very disappointing. We take away a fantastic win because of Pedro Porro's goal, which was just sublime. Other than that, we would be having a completely different conversation tonight, that we're going to play Burnley midweek in a game that we just do not need.
Completely agree.
Johnny, just on Lo Celso, real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think, because I've been a fan of Lo Celso up until
I'm a fan.
now, and I just think he looks so one-footed, and I think that was one of the reasons why we weren't opening him up. I mean, he did some good things on the pitch today, but I just felt, use your right, bro. If you use your right, he's in. But he wants to put it on his left all the time. It's so frustrating. I'm like, this is why Madders gets back into the team. And I was disappointed because I thought, up until this game, I thought Lo Celso personally he was cooking. I'll be real. Like the balls he was putting in, goals he was scoring, like his contribution going forward. And I do agree with the whole cast. I'll say, look, when we took Lo Celso off and we kept Skip on, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why is Skip on the pitch? That makes no sense to me. The one player, like you said, Bentancur and Lo Celso, the chemistry was clear for all to see. They're the ones that want the ball a lot more. They're the ones that can travel with the ball. They're the ones that play it early. They're the ones that kind of dictate. And I thought, actually, if you're going to take a player off, take Skip off, put Højbjerg on, put him as the 6. Put Højbjerg as the 6, make him be the DM, and let Lo Celso and Bentancur just do their thing. Do you know what I mean? Let them ball out. And that way, we've got more attacking, we've got more attacking threat going forward, because those guys, they're going to make it happen. They're going to give it to our forward players, and we're going to have more shots on goal. You saw what we did with Villa when we had obviously, was it Højbjerg? Did Højbjerg start that game? I can't remember. But
that game was weird.
And Lo Celso was on.
Yeah, we
should have had again, when you're playing against Burnley, even though Burnley traditionally want to go at you and say they didn't really. It was interesting, a new version of Burnley. Big up, Nick. Want to say big up to you, mate. Welcome to the show. But I think let me just quickly finish my point, and big up Savra as well. Thank you for the raid, my man.
Oh, Nick.
Got a couple of super chats I want to call out. Before I do, guys, smash the like button if you haven't already. 650 people in the house. Awesome to see you all this Friday night. Smash the like button. Also, all of the creators' channels that are on tonight, they're in the link. They're in the description. Make sure every single one of you is getting down and clicking those links one by one and getting over to their channels and repaying their generous offering of their time. A couple of super chats. I want to bring Nick and Savra in. Obviously, Savra's asked Nick if he can come on. Nick said no.
Yeah. I'm not streaming tonight. I don't stream anymore. Wanker.
Just quickly, Blaine Devlin, big up Blaine, massive supporter of the channel. Love you, my man. He said, remember for 5 months, I was watching most of that game from behind the sofa. We looked leggy and highlighted. Nobody could finish a pasty supper. I tell you, it looks like Cesegnon finished a pasty supper. Put on a lot of weight that boy has. Big up, Sean. Big up, Blaine. I really appreciate my man. And Moss Chops as well with a super chat. Appreciate you. Says, there was a moment in the game when Rich missed a fair chance, and I got the feeling from Andrew's reaction that a new forward is on the list. Look, I'd love to see a new forward on the list. But I also want to talk a little bit about Ollie Skip and what's going on, why he's getting the moments. But before I do, I want to get Nick's and Savra's thoughts on the game. Nick, I'll start with you, mate. What do you think? Apart from thank you for coming onto my channel rather than Savra's. Always appreciate that loyalty. It's very nice of you.
Sean, the reason was because, first of all, you asked so nicely. Second of all, I want to find out what this man's opinion, because he's clearly in the mud over Emerson Royale and Emerson Royale's performance tonight. Constantly slamming him. And I'd like to hear some positive news about Emerson Royale's performance.
He was the best player on the pitch tonight for me.
Savra, was he?
I mean, I'm guessing none of you watched my watch along then, where I said that Emerson Royale was head and shoulders man of the match. And I thought that was an indictment of just how embarrassing we were tonight.
Oh, Sam, you had to ruin it.
I'm joking. Nick, I'm joking. I thought Emerson, Royale and Davis were very, very good tonight. I thought it was a night where we can't blame our centre-halves being out injured. The same can't be said for a lot of those players at the other end of the pitch. I'm worried. I'm worried. Every game at the moment is awful. Sean, we've talked about it all week. Again, it was another one of those games where everything's so hurried. Like, I just want someone to put their foot on the ball and just calm things down a little bit, have a breather. Because Brennan Johnson, Kulu, these guys do everything 100 miles per hour and they can't stop giving the ball away. Brennan Johnson, for me, I'm going to call it, people are calling me negative, he is awful. 50 million for Brennan Johnson is just, I'm just baffled as to who made that decision. But I just think we need to calm it down. Just calm it down. Just put our foot on the ball in midfield. Stop trying to do everything at breakneck speed and stop playing Richarlison. You can't constantly play. Listen, he scored a few tap-ins and everyone's gone mad about him. Everything breaks down on him. Sorry, guys, for anyone that everything breaks down on him. Every ball played into his feet bounces off. He loses every 50-50 battle with his defender. Every time he's through on goal, you just go, well, this isn't going in. Look, we got through. Positives, we're through. We're into the next round. But again, it's another. I've not enjoyed Spurs since Newcastle. I've not enjoyed watching us. It's been really tough. It's been really tough watching us. I'm sorry. People won't like that.
No,
Sav's here. Sav's negative. It's been tough. We've been crap. We've been really crap.
Sort of agrees. At least tonight's performance was lackluster. With the positives were Pedro Porro's strike. We got through the game. But listen, if it takes a worldie to beat the team that's probably going to be going down before anybody else this year, then you're at home, right? I asked the question before the game started. Would you rather play Premier League teams at home for the rest of the tournament or non-Premier League teams away? And pretty much everybody said Premier League teams at home. You couldn't get a more favourable Premier League tie at home in the FA Cup than Burnley. And it took 75 minutes to be able to break the deadlock, and it wasn't good enough. Nick, what's your stance on the game, mate?
Yeah, look, 100%. I thought, Sava's right. Look, Dane Scarlett showed more fight, more determination in the time that he came on. I mean, look, he can't be worse than Richarlison up front, And like Sava said, he scored 5 in 5, but they've all been tap-ins pretty much. Yes, they've been reactionary. He almost doesn't need time to think. It just needs to come at him and for the ball to go in, right? So, Sava is right in that, in that respect, and also this inverted nonsense that is so predictable of Kulu on the right and Johnson on the left. We know what they're going to do. If we know what they're going to do, the opposition are going to know what to do. I'd much rather see us showing some pace down. We saw, and I can't remember what game it was. It probably was the Newcastle game, but we saw when the wingers go down the wing and they attack the defence and they cross the ball in, we score goals, right? And that's what we need to get back to. I thought Skip was horrendous. He's like the Harry Maguire of the England team. Maguire's got something on Southgate.
It's not that good.
I reckon Skip's got something on hands. He's got like photos like Maguire's got of Southgate. I don't understand how he keeps getting game time. I'm not saying that Højbjerg's much better, but he gave the ball away, but he made that important block. So it's kind of 50-50. You get a good thing and a bad thing with Højbjerg. But yeah, I just think defensively we were better. And as they're playing more together, obviously Ben Davies has done his hamstring, so that looks like it'll be Van der Ven and Emerson for United.
Sorry, Davies did his hamstring.
Yeah. And said at the end he's tweaked his hamstring.
Yeah, he's done his hamstring.
And he also said it doesn't matter if Dyer goes as well. So that says to me that the Dragosan deal that's dragging on is probably more done than we probably think. But I think that I think going forward again, Sava is right. Going forward, I don't want to sound like Perchy, and just agreeing with everything Sava says. I'm only joking. It's a joke, Savage. Just smile with it. But we are. Johnson does too much. He's 100 miles an hour, and he just doesn't think. So look, we got through. We're into the 4th round draw on Monday, and look. Arsenal. There's Arsenal and Liverpool. One of them are going to go out. Brentford and Wolves. There's 4 or 5 Premier League teams that could go out. I think Newcastle could lose to Sunderland, and Man United going away to Wigan is not going to be easy either. So potentially like 8 or 9 Premier League teams could be out in the 3rd round, and it's an opportunity that we probably want to, we want to win a trophy, right? I'd much rather win a trophy and finish 8th than finish 4th with nothing.
Yeah. Adrian, welcome to the stream, mate. Sorry, dude. There's like a second row of guests. I didn't see you there, mate. You were hiding. I had to scroll down. Welcome back from the game. I want to start by asking this: would you rather play based on tonight's performance, knowing that we're going to play in the 4th round against a team without Sonny, with a pretty much similar sort of team to what we played tonight? Would you rather play a Premier League team at home in the 4th round, or would you rather play a non-Premier League team away after tonight's performance?
I don't care who we play as long as it's home tie. When we won the 80 cups in the 80s and the 90s, we were lucky. We drew so many teams at home to play, and that's the luck you need in a draw, because it's only like 6 games to win it. I mean, it was a frustrating, painful watch today. Brennan Johnson was frustrating to watch. I mean, like as Sava rightly said, you're talking about 40 to 50 mil of add-ons for. He should be oven ready, shouldn't he, to go in that team? And he's a work in progress. So you don't know what you're going to get. He'll give you a nice assist now and again. He will give us good performances, but we need consistency out of our forward line. Our forward line, what permutation Andrew's picked this season as a front 3, right? The only time it sort of clicked was at Burnley away. We've got good results because we got quality in other areas of the pitch. But today I thought Bentancur just hasn't got his mojo quite back yet. Sharpness also looked okay. But we play with 2 wingers, right? If you're going to play with 2 wingers, get the ball out to them quickly. We were slow getting the ball out to the wings. It was so easy to predict what we were doing. We didn't do enough in midfield. We didn't move. We didn't get enough balls through the centre of midfield where you close in on your opponent quickly. If you can put a killer ball through the middle of that pitch, right, you open up, and then the guy in the middle of the pitch, he's got options left and right or forward, right? And it just wasn't happening. Richarlison, first touch was too hard in that first chance he had. He took it too wide, didn't he? So all right, I'd rather him not hit at the centre of the goal. I'd rather him go wide. I don't like the players that think they've done good if they've hit it straight at the goalkeeper. I think that's just not excusable at all. As I heard somebody say, the centre backs did well. Thought Porro did well. I mean, great. The goal was worth the 25 quid of the game, as far as I'm concerned. But there wasn't much you could pick out of it, apart from we now know that Ange likes Cesegnon because he brought him on. So he likes him. So it's like what he's saying is he's getting fit again. I like him. He's got vision, and he will look. He's not one of these wingers, whether he's playing left back, left midfield, left wing. He's not one of those players that is head down, arse up, and doesn't look. He can read a pass, and I like him, and I hope his injury problems. I hope it comes good for him. If not, he's going to have to go.
Needs to lose about 18 pounds by the looks of it.
He was carrying a lot of weight.
I think
he had a really good Christmas.
I think he's bulked up, but he's been away. He's probably
he bulked up, Adrian. You're right about that.
I've got to tell you, when he turned up first day of training, after I took the piss out of Dybala getting exhausted walking from the car to the front door, I said I couldn't believe the state of Cesegnon. And I made a tweet saying, he looks like he's been camped at McDonald's, right? He ain't going to last 5 minutes before his hamstring went. And someone said, you know what? That'll offend someone on Twitter. I took it down. And then a week later, his hamstring's gone.
Well, the thing is, our issues, Johnny, our issues are midfield, because we all know, right? Most games are won and lost in midfield. And our midfield has either been overrun or it hasn't turned up. And against Bournemouth and Brighton, right, it was very easy to pass through us when you got 2 in midfield, especially after we lost Son's energy and we didn't have to get out ball. Decky wasn't on the field, so they Like those teams, Brighton, don't knock them. They pass the ball more quickly. They don't have a fantastic amount of pace because Matoma's not in their side, right? So, and like they caused us all sorts of problems. They move the ball quickly. We're at our best when we slick passing and move it forward quickly, and we haven't done that recently.
You know what's what the one thing that shocked me from the beginning of the season, I think, was the real anomaly was at the beginning of the season quite a lot of us, or the majority of us, worried about the defence. We thought, with Richie and with Solomon and Son and Johnson and all these players, we had so much going forward. And in essence, it's been the complete opposite. I mean, obviously until we had the injuries, but the defence has performed away and above until we had those injuries. But really, even in our prime, when we were winning those games, I don't think I've seen a fluid strike and attack all season. Not the type of game that Ange likes to play.
Newcastle. No, I thought Newcastle.
Yeah,
everything
Newcastle
clicked. We were fast,
probably. Yeah, maybe
creative.
Newcastle.
Everything clicked. But apart from that game and Burnley, every other game had something.
In them first games, we could push up and hold the halfway line. We haven't done that.
Look good. We weren't fluid, is what I'm saying. We weren't. We
haven't done that. So then force teams to make mistakes and pass through them. We haven't held up. We haven't played a high press. We haven't played a high press for ages. When have we held the halfway line for any period of time?
I didn't think we were pressing at all in that second half.
We've dropped a bit deeper with these injuries. We've dropped a bit deeper, and we've been, and we've had
individuals were pressing, which is pointless. What's the point of Richie or one other pressing, and then he just passes to the side and it counters the press? It's pathetic. You either press en masse or you don't press at all.
Can I just add on from before Henry Wright and his baseball cap come in? I really want to agree with Adrian because you said it the other day when we were on a stream together. He said it again tonight. I think he's bang on. The teams we've been playing lately move that ball very quickly through our midfield. And it goes back to what I said earlier. I just feel like we don't seem to have control of games anymore. Now, I'm not talking about more possession. We had more possession, but I felt like there was enough quality in Lo Celso and in Bentancur to put your foot on the ball and just say, you know what, let's relax here. Let's relax a little bit, right? We don't seem to be doing that at all. And unfortunately, what we're doing is we're starting to allow more and more chances at our goal every game. Now, Burnley, I was never worried about the Burnley game. While I thought we were awful tonight, I was never worried about it because they can't score. This is why they're second bottom. They've won 3 games all season. They don't score goals. But is anyone else not worried that this is now, we've won some games, but Forest wasn't good. Everton, for an hour, they dominated us. Brighton dominated us for 80 minutes. Bournemouth dominated us. And we're winning games because I think we've got big guns. But is anyone else not worried now? Like everyone keeps talking about, and sorry, I don't want to be that guy, and I love Ange, but do you think maybe we should hold off from Ange ball until maybe he's had a year or so to actually implement
or we've got a fully fit squad?
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know how we can keep watching this and everyone can keep going Ange ball. At the moment, teams that are worse than us are dominating us or having better chances than us. That's got to be a concern.
We weren't dominated today, though.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
You just said teams dominate us.
No. Listen to what I said.
Bournemouth come to our ground and had 24 shots.
Bournemouth dominated us. Everton dominated us. Brentford dominated us. Today, they didn't, but still had the bigger chances.
I don't think Bournemouth dominated us. Sorry, they had 24 shots, but 4 of them were on target. 12 of them were off target.
You don't think Bournemouth dominated us?
I don't think Bournemouth dominated us. Bournemouth did not dominate us at all. I thought they had a 30-minute period.
They were all over us.
And all right, good thing. We've shown great resilience when it's needed.
Yes.
But resilience is not going to get us out of jail every game. We can't keep riding our luck like this because it's going to come unstuck, and it doesn't take much for the Spurs fan base to go into meltdown, right? We've shown I like the resilience. What it shows,
I agree,
because in the past we'd have lost them games. It shows we've got better defenders than we've had in the past, right?
Yes.
But you're not looking to Davis and Emerson, as future centre backs if you want to go and win something, because it's just not going to happen. Right.
You see what it is, Adrian?
We need Dragusin in. Dragusin will come. He wants to play for us. Any other stories about Nash?
Did you think Emerson was bad tonight? Sorry, I thought Emerson was outstanding tonight.
No, I thought him and Davis. I thought Davis was good. They made some excellent interceptions. No,
Can I ask you guys?
They were the pick.
Can I ask guys? Right, seriously, joking aside, I know it keeps coming up and it's regurgitated over and over again, but there is a serious fundamental problem within the club with hamstrings and injuries. I'm sorry, I know other clubs have them.
I agree.
There is something fundamentally wrong, right? It has to
because we're running at 100 miles an hour, or apparently we didn't tonight. But
I mean, I just
go on.
John, I had this conversation with Sav on a stream the other day, and I said, well, we don't know there isn't any science being done, but I was bringing up the fact that when Poch was out Southampton with his squad and he tried the high ball, Southampton didn't have the squad to maintain the high press, and when they got to about Christmas, they started getting injuries. Now, we had the youngest team in the Premier League under Poch, and we went a few seasons. It was all right with younger players, and then we started picking up injuries. Son and Kane were getting injuries. When we stopped the high press, Kane and Sonny didn't get injuries. You had the same situation with Liverpool. First couple of years under Klopp, they lost a couple of trophies. Then they won on the win the championship, and then they had a horrendous list of injuries. Right?
We played 17 games. I hear you.
I know.
We played the least amount of games that any club.
My point is, Johnny. My point is, I trained for 30 years. Right? You go in a gym and you train. Before you train, you get on that bike, you warm up with no resistance at all. You don't sit any hard going uphill shit, right? You just pedal against nothing, against thin air. And in 5 minutes you do that, you warm your body core temperature up and all the nutrients in your body get through your joints to your ligaments and all that shit. And then if you've got any hamstring problems and all that, you go on what they call a leg curl machine. You don't put the pin in any of the way.
Let's not go through a kind of
how it works.
I'm saying we need an asthmatic for that.
Fair enough. If you've got a hamstring problem, then you should have a different warm-up regime. Warm-up is not to me kicking about.
That's old school. With the greatest respect, it's old school, right? There's something now called sports science, right? I know for a fact that Levy had to be pressured into buying a cryo chamber, right, for the players, okay? Sports science, okay? You need full-time sports scientists to monitor players in the red zone. Why is it Arsenal play more games in a higher press and press for 90 minutes
and have less injuries?
Johnny, are you sure? Are you sure he didn't have to get a cry chamber for when he has to spend some actual money to buy top players that he goes and cries in it for a few weeks? I don't want to pay $5 million more for Dragusin. No.
Yeah. Can I ask everyone a question quickly? Does anyone know, out of our entire 11, the only 3 players that have not missed a game through injury or suspension?
Porro?
Yeah.
Vicario.
Yeah.
Vicario.
Who's the other one?
Richarlison.
Eric.
Well, he's gone, but not through injury or suspension.
What, Kulu?
Emerson.
Emerson.
Yeah, I think Royale missed the game, didn't he? He was suspended.
Suma's had 3.
Oh yeah, Royale. Those are the 3. I thought it was Son.
Royale.
How are we halfway through a season? And we've had, 21 injuries now? Is it 21 or is it 19 injuries? It's ridiculous.
And all
another injury tonight. Let me ask you something, right? If Davies is out tonight and Van der Ven is not declared fully fit for that Man United game, what's our back line going to be going into United?
He'll play. Henry, he'll play.
Okay, let's say he doesn't, hypothetically.
It will be a Doji as left centre-back and probably...
and Cesegnon.
Left wing-back.
No way.
Hey, Serge Reguilon is back,
yeah,
so
Serge
we could.
If he plays another game, we can't sell him.
I think what we'll do with Reguilon, he'll position not Reguilon with Cesegnon. He'll position quarter pounders along the touchline there to entice them along the wing. Look.
Hang on, what was that about? Sorry, Joey, 1 second. If Reguilon plays one more game, he can't be sold.
He can't go out again
for us.
Can't go out on loan.
Can't
go out on loan.
Or he can't be sold either, right?
Yeah,
you can't have 3.
Can't have 3 teams in 1 year.
By
the way, guys, can I just say, I think it's brilliant. Adrian, what you said, again, I'm agreeing with you a lot. I didn't used to, but I am agreeing with you a lot lately, right? I do think...
That worries me, Trevor.
I know, it worries me too, Adrian, but do you know what? Listen, we're all turning over a new leaf, right, in 2024 and all that stuff. I think the resilience side of our game is brilliant, by the way. But what I don't want to ever be is I don't ever want to be to the point where we're not allowed to say if something worries us or if we're not playing well. And for me, I'm just saying I've seen a worrying trend the last 5 or 6 games where we can't seem to pass the ball to each other. Like all of the passes seem to be awry. All of the passes into people seem to be like hospital passes where they've got no chance and they keep getting nicked. And I think we've really got to sort that out because other teams, it's all right. We'll get away with it against Bournemouth. You're going to get away with it against Burnley. You didn't get away with it against Brighton because Brighton have got that little bit extra quality. You won't get away with it against Man United. No matter how bad they are, they've got players that will hurt you. So I think we've really got to, I don't know, I just something don't seem right and I don't know what it is.
Davo, are you saying that we need to be more controlled in possession? Like
yes,
Arteta, like Arteta. Because Arteta was no, wait, hold on. No, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to do I ain't trying to do that. But I'm just making the point because like Arsenal last season, they were rock and roll, but then they gave up areas of the pitch, i.e. the middle of the park certain times or the channels. Because what I've seen is Everton, they attacked us through the channels.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, they attacked us through the channels. Yeah, always through the channels. It was always direct. It was 1, 2, 3, direct pass. 1, 2.
Why do they go to the channels, Ashmate?
Because the fullbacks push up into the pockets. That's why. So that's the only way to attack Spurs. But we say, look, you can have that space, but guess what? We're going to pin you back. But the only reason why we play at 100 miles per hour is because they've got like 2 backs of 4. And if you don't play it quick enough, then you can't find the hole because the teams just want to sit. If there's no space, you're going to have to pass it sideways, a bit like Arsenal and Man City do. Arsenal and Man City, they pass it sideways, and then it's harder for you to score. But if you pass it quick and decisive, a bit like what Liverpool do, you see what I'm trying to say? A bit like what Liverpool
I do, but using Man City as an example is not the one because
I know, I hear that. Forget Man City. But I'm saying with our problem, I think, is our front three. Like we create a lot of chances because open play goals, we have scored the most. When it comes to total shots, we've got the highest total shots. So I'm saying, so for me, the problem is the finishing, and that just comes down to your Richarlison. Go on.
I agree. Listen, I agree. I'll meet you in the middle here. I agree. But the thing is, this is always going to happen. If you play at 100 miles every game, 100 miles per hour every game, when it works, I always have this conversation with Henry and Sean. When it works, it's brilliant. When it doesn't work, all you're doing is the ball just keeps coming back to you, And it's all right, as I said, but Bournemouth, had 24 chances that way, but couldn't finish their dinner. That's fine. But when you play the better opposition, they are going to finish their dinner. I just think it needs to be a little bit more controlled. I'm not saying you have to stop doing what we're doing, but I think we need to pick and choose our moments a bit more. Because at the moment, Johnson, Kulu, Son, and Richarlison, all of them, maybe not so much Kulu, but the other 3 definitely, they're not hold-up players. They are get the ball reaction players. And the moment they lose it, bounces back. Even Son, they're brilliant, 100 miles an hour. When they lose it, bounces back. And for me, I'm just asking for just a tiny bit more control.
I hear you. Do you not think they're playing that inverted? Sorry, I was just going to say, do you not think that playing, especially against Bournemouth, the wing backs are so inverted that it's an open field for them to exploit that area?
But to coin Sean,
Johnson does not track back.
I agree. And to coin Sean, though, Johnny, you've got to take the bitter with the better. Sorry, Sean, I love that saying. You've got to take the bitter with the better. If you want to play this style of football, that everyone loves, that is naturally going to happen. Yeah, because those 2 fullbacks come so far inside that it's brilliant when you want the ball. When you haven't got the ball, if I'm the manager of the opposing team, what am I saying? The moment they give the ball away, down the channels, over the top, down the channels. And that is where, unfortunately, that's never going to, you might control that a bit better, but teams are always going to do that against us now.
What I'd argue is once we bring back Mickey van der Ven, once we have Romero, we have the ability to close that down. And hopefully, if we retain the ball better, and like you say, I totally agree, if we have someone who's calmer on the ball, who can be creative and kind of dictate the pace of the game, we have the ability to take that risk. So in my opinion, right now, Ange hasn't got the players to play the football he wants. To play like the good football that we've seen at the start of the season. Right now, he's kind of having to deal with what he has. Davies and Emerson are not natural centre-halves. They're not going to have the pace to win that ball back early. But once you've got Mickey van der Ven back in the fold, he's going to win the balls that go in behind. And Romero's going to win that ball early, which means we can have the creativity in the middle and the tempo is going to be a lot higher, which we're missing at the minute.
And their resilience is based on pace, isn't it? Because if you went back a few seasons, where we've made some lovely last-ditch tackles, that wouldn't have happened. Our players would have been done, and they'd have been in on goal. So it's not just a question of we've got a lot of this side's got a lot of grit. Don't underestimate him.
I'm worried, guys. I'm just a little bit concerned sometimes when you progress two inverted fullbacks. It works when it's fast-paced football and you get that additional name, that additional body up there to be able to move the ball forward and stuff. But when it's slow-paced, and you're doing that horseshoe like Ash was alluding to earlier, where you're just popping it around, but you've still got those two guys in there. It kind of overcrowds the final third a little bit. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of adaptability where if it's slow ball, not every game's going to be fast. And if you are playing against a low block team and they're just sitting there waiting for the missed pass that always seems to happen with Tottenham at the moment, then you don't need both fullbacks to go forward and then invert. Because you're just overcrowded. Suddenly you've got 18 players in about 5 meters. Go on, Ash.
Sometimes Porro will sit, and he's the one that kind of hits those long balls and switches the ball and does over the top. But
breaks the lines.
He breaks the lines. But I think the problem is sometimes with Spurs is two things. Sometimes Idoghi's in perfect pockets of space, but his mindset isn't to shoot. When I'm like, bro, you need to shoot. You're in that space, you're in that pocket, put your foot through it. But because he's a defender, his natural instinct is to lay it off, pass it, maybe cut back, instead of being in that danger area and then testing the goalkeeper. Also, as well, Johnson, Kulu, sometimes they're not shooting when they need to be shooting. The decision making is being poor from that front three. That's really let us down. Do you know what I mean? And I do concede that point that Sav was making. Sometimes you want someone to kind of just slow it down so then we can think about what we're doing and then hit the trap. Do you know what I mean? Not always boom, 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 boom. Sometimes slow it down, then speed it up. Because if you lose control of the ball, then all of a sudden you can concede possession and then you can lose a big chance at the other end. And he's saying like a bigger team, a better team will punish you. But my thing is, like Jack was saying, when you've got better centre backs, the difference between Emerson Royale and your Romero, when Romero's in possession, he's a man that can travel with it. He's a man that can pass the ball into the box as well. He's almost like a midfielder. He's so much levels above your Emerson Royale. No disrespect, Barry. Sorry.
I'm not going to sit here and say,
but I was going to speak. Listen, why are we doing it? I give it to you.
Can I just say, sorry, just really quickly, John. So really quickly, just going to say, I do agree with you, but even when Van der Ven and Romero were playing, this was happening, right? It will still happen. It will be limited. It will be more limited. I do get it. I think that the key thing for me, what is not working in this football team at the moment is, and even when everyone's fit, I don't think this problem changes without a signing. I don't think we've got a good front three. I don't think we've got a front three that you look at and go, that's a blend. I really don't.
I'd also say, I agree, and I'm agreeing with you that one, but I'd also say today especially, we were playing with 10 men, not 11. Skip was non-existent.
Oh my God,
he was not running into the box. He wasn't getting his foot on the ball at all.
Ash,
he wasn't
got photos, man. He's got photos.
Literally, it's not like he was winning the ball back and then give it. It'd be different if he was winning the ball back and then giving it simple. And then like,
number 8. Scott, I agree. Skip is not up to the ability to play for Tottenham.
I just don't think he's up to play in the Premier League.
Realistically, if he's playing in a number 8, you want someone like Sava said who's going to dictate the play, find the balls in behind, look for Johnson out wide. But Skip had not a creative bone in his body that whole game. And when we're at our best is when we're winning the ball high up, high turnovers, looking to pop the ball around.
Happy Sarr does, right?
None of that. Like you say, we're missing Sarr and we didn't have that creativity to go forward.
Let's be honest on Skip, right? Just quickly. How many Premier League teams does this guy start for?
None.
Ollie Skip, none.
Sorry.
Norwich, mate.
You know what?
So, like, is
Can I
he
just
here
say,
just
though-
because he's homegrown? Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like-
no, that's why they've all got the hard on for him because he's homegrown. I can't listen to it.
Yeah, but it's when the club
I've
go
got-
out, go, oh,
I've got to tell
Skippy's
you,
going to be
though, guys,
captain. Skippy
listen
this,
to us.
Skippy that. Like,
Listen-
come
listen-
on now.
It's,
Like,
it's,
we're
it's
better
rock-
than this.
It's shocking. Listen, look, let me tell you, we're all. I'm sitting here listening to us, right? 6 months ago, right? 7 months ago, we were watching football where every single one of those players was scared to pass the ball for fear of the wrath of the manager, right? We are now watching a game, and in 6 months, he's trying to install them to be progressive, to make passes, to take risks. I mean, I remember early in the season when Romero's taking risks, bad passing, no one was berating him, no one was, giving him a hard time, no one was shouting at anyone because they're encouraged to take those risks. And there's a trade-off right now, though, to try and play that same type of football, but with the level of players like Oliver Skip and Royal in the middle of the park and at the back and what have you. It's not going to have the same. It's not going to have the same rhythm. It really isn't. And I think it's hard to encourage players to be progressive and take risks, and at the same time put out a team like that. And I think where we've come from to where we are today, we should be rejoicing at the journey that we're on right now, and the fact that we are moving forward. And we can all clearly see when we get Romero and Maddison, and Son and Sarr and all these back, we have a squad and a team. Like Sava says, our only weakness for me is really up front. I don't think Johnson's the level. Richarlison's not firing, and no,
That's kind
at the moment.
That's kind, Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, did you notice what I did today then, right? It's where we fluff our lines and we make the bad decisions. There were quite a few times in that game where we could have crossed the ball into the box. Instead, we passed it back to go cross field again, right? Now, all right, you might have an option, and then players are looking at player level while I'm up in the stand at higher level. So my vision's not the same as theirs, what they see. But at least if you put the odd cross into the box, you might cause a bit of chaos in your opponent's box. They might have a dodgy flick out with a foot, or a dodgy header might bounce or something. You might seize that, cause a bit of chaos, create a chance and score a goal. We're not even doing that. Everyone's like, it's under Conte ball, it was fear football. Everyone was frightened to make a mistake, give the ball away, It was
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Right? And even today, like, where's the movement? When you got two wide wingers, it ain't coming out to you, right? Where's a winger running cross field into the centre to back up, say, Richarlison, right? So if he makes a sudden run, instead of a forward run, cuts in midfield, then the player at the back, the midfielder or the defender, thinks, oh, I've got two. If I miss one, I might get the other one anyway. And then he can chip the ball forward, right? Sometimes I see it when they're standing there. Our front three are very static. There's no movement. And you're looking for a midfielder or something to lay the ball off when there's no one to move it to. Or
Adrian, what I'll ask you is,
it's going to be closed down. It's a good job Decky can hold the ball up because he'll take it even if there's two men near him, right? But I mean, like, and he'll take the pressure off you, right? But like,
it was terrible today.
Dejan predictable. I mean,
in fairness, I totally agree. I think
other people don't. That's fair enough. I ain't got an argument with people not liking Decky.
Adrian and Johnny, what I'd say is I think Kulusevski has been phenomenal this season. Today, he was awful. Worst game in a Spurs shirt probably this season. No creativity, very sluggish. Didn't hold up the ball as well as he does, because usually I think that's one of his key attributes. He uses his body well and he times the pass well. But what I would say is, do we need another type of profile of player like Kulusevski? I'm not saying the same, but someone who's got the creativity on the wings as well, because right now we've got Johnson and Son who are pace, drive-up players, and Johnson's probably not doing that very well at the minute. Do we need a profile player like maybe a Cole Palmer, like a Mahrez was at Man City, someone with the creativity and the calmness on the ball, who's not afraid to have a shot as well?
I mean, listen, Gallagher for me, I know a lot of people don't like Gallagher, but for me, he offers the versatility so we can either have the Gallagher that played at Crystal Palace, who's progressive, plays further forward, scores goals and assists, or you can have the Chelsea version, which is doing a completely different role. But what you have is when you have an injury crisis like we're suffering now, he can step into role A or role B and do it both equally as well.
Doesn't want to come though, does he?
He doesn't want to go, but
I don't want him.
Sell him.
I don't want him or Phillips, Calvin Phillips.
Super quickly, guys. Super quickly, whilst there's we're on the topic of Kulu. Joe S with the super chat. Appreciate you, Joe. When are we going to talk about Kulu? He flatters to deceive, never beats his man, and has become very predictable. He gets the ball and always checks back. I agree with Jack's sentiment. I think he's been very good this year. I think he was predictable at the start. Then I think he went through his period where I thought after the Luton game, where I think he stepped up and got us through the last 15 minutes. I thought he was exceptional from then on. But today was his worst performance. I do appreciate the super chat. Guys, please smash the like button. I just want to say quickly, a couple of people have dropped off. Henry, thank you very much for coming on. James, thank you very much for coming on. And Jacob, thank you very much for coming on. I know there's 10 people. I put out the link. Most of the time, no one wants to come on. All the time, everyone wants to come on. Really appreciate all of you guys as well. All of the links for everybody, all the creators are in the chat, in the channel. And as soon as this is over, the redirect is going to Jacob, who's streaming in a little while on his channel. I don't know where we were of the conversation about Kulu.
Can I just come in on Kulu? Can I come in on Kulu? For me, I think that he's either labelled as he's been excellent or he's been rubbish. I don't think it's either of those things. I think he's slap bang in the middle. For me, this is a very frustrating footballer who I don't ever know what I'm going to get from him. He is Mr. Inconsistent, clearly a very talented player. What he has got over the other wingers is the ability to control a football. I'm sorry, if I'm going to be, who am I kidding? I'm not sorry. Richarlison cannot control a football to save his life. Brennan Johnson's first touch is absolutely woeful. His touch is awful. Yeah. Kulu can control the ball. You know me, Sean, I don't like him on the right. I've never liked him on the right. For me, when he comes into the middle, I see a more useful footballer.
Got more space, yeah.
More space. When I see him on the right, even today, the number of times we were breaking on Burnley and I'm screaming in my watch along, run into the grass, run into the, when I was growing up, the coaches used to say to me, you've got grass, run into it. When you've got grass, run into it. Kulu, every time. This is a Burnley left back. I don't remember him trying to take his left back on once. And it's like Johnny just said, he's so predictable. And the thing is, I agree. I don't know who said about Cole Palmer. You've got to, was it Jack? I mean, you've got to have someone with something that makes the fullbacks think. A Cole Palmer, Jack Grealish, you don't know which way he's going to go. He can go on the outside or the inside. Bernardo Silva will go on the inside. Phil Foden, you don't know if he's going to invert.
Someone who can change the pace of the game, Sava. What I would say, someone who can try that cadence, but also come inside, receive the ball, and then put one round the corner. Someone with that creative mindset.
Jack, even the player that we missed out on in the window, even a player that was cheaper than Brennan Johnson that went to another London club. Look at Mohamed Kudus compared to Brennan Johnson at roughly the same price. I think
you could have got Elise for 35 million.
Right, but this is my point, Johnny. Imagine Mohamed Kudus in this team, a player, fantastic footwork. Not an out-and-out winger, but can drift out there, drift inside. You never know what he's going to do. For me, I said it at the time, I just think Brennan Johnson was a massive panic buy. I'm not saying he can't get better, but you're bringing him in 3 or 4 days after Harry Kane's been sold. And I'm thinking, you've got to hit the ground running. You're an international footballer with Premier League experience. You've got to hit the ground running. And for me, a couple of good crosses we've seen from him, but his technical ability is wanting massively. Sorry,
today the IQ was missing, right? He smashes the ball today that you're playing against the low block team, and because he's had a couple of bits of success putting low balls across to Richarlison today, rather than putting the ball in the air against a back four, he puts it along the floor when there's eight Burnley players in the box. There's no football IQ there. What I just want to pivot the conversation quickly, and I want to bring Nick and Ash back in for a sec. Nick, I'll start with you. We haven't talked about the subs. Bryan Gil comes on. Does Bryan Gil excite any of you? But I'll start with Nick. I do want to get Nick and Ash because obviously it's been so busy. Everyone's trying to get everyone's is difficult. Is Bryan Gil, Nick? Did he do anything today that kind of gave you any inspiration, motivation to think he's the solution on the left-hand side over the next month?
No, it's absolutely. I mean, Johnny was saying about Cesegnon with the burgers. Bryan Gil needs to go out with him to go and eat some burgers to fatten up. Look, the only call, and we were talking about. Ash was saying we were talking about it, and I said he's going to bring Hill on the left, Kulu in the middle, and he's going to put Johnson on the right. It's not really. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what else you kind of had really. I mean, Cesegnon was the curveball afterward. I just don't understand why Bryan Gil is still here. He's not. We talk about Oliver Skipp not being a Premier League player, but Bryan Gil, I mean, I don't even know what league player he is, because he's. I think even my 10-year-old could push him over. That's how no weight there is to him, and he just seems like. When you were talking about, I can't remember who it was, talking about fear under Conte, he just looks like scared of going near the football. Like he has a chance to take a shot or he has a chance to do something, and he's like, no, not me. I don't want the responsibility.
I think that's in the final third. In my opinion, it's kind of the opposite. Not that I'm totally disagreeing, but I feel like he really wants to do well. Whenever he gets the ball, he feels like this is my moment.
I think he's desperate to do well. Yeah.
And I feel like he almost feels like I can't miss another shot because he's had so many opportunities in front of goal. When he gets to that final step, he doesn't want to shoot. But before he gets there, he's like, right, I need to get on the ball. And I think today was, let's be honest, you had a tired Burnley back four, so it wasn't hard to get him behind. But I felt like he won the ball back. He kept the tempo high, and he looked a bit more dangerous than he normally does. In my opinion, he's almost trying too hard, and he doesn't back his shooting.
He's more aerodynamic since he shaved his moustache off, and I thought that would give him the edge, right? To be honest with you,
he had some nice touches, didn't he? He had some nice touches today, but there's no he did set up for one of our best chances actually, which I think people are forgetting. Yeah. I'm saying forgetting. You probably haven't forgotten. It's just a phrase I use. He slipped the ball through to Ryan Cesegnon with some really good footwork.
Yeah,
and then Cesegnon shot was deflected wide. Should have done better, but. Yeah. I think we all agree, don't we, that Bryan Gil is a lovely footballer. I said to you yesterday, Sean, I bet Bryan Gil is absolutely superb on the five-a-side pitch. I bet you can't get the ball off him on five-a-side, but I just don't know what he is. I don't know.
For me, he doesn't have enough potential. I agree with Jack. He's desperate to get on the ball, but he doesn't. Well, then when he gets on the ball into the final third, he starts the ball to go out, and then he sort of turns back and just gives it up like
there's no conviction.
That horseshoe going on again.
It's like there's a magnet pulling him back. Oh no, you can't go into the final third, Brian. You need to come back, mate, because you don't know what you're doing.
To get the best out of Bryan Gil, I think you'd have to experiment. I don't think we can afford to do that. He's got such good feet. He can turn and twist and beat someone that presses him. But on the wing, he's going to get bullied. But Skipp gets bullied in midfield as well. If Gil was playing in a midfield position, right, which he wouldn't be trusted to do, because they didn't trust Modric when he first came to Spurs, he would win us a hell of a lot of free kicks. He would win us a hell of a lot of free kicks. We get bullied in the middle. But we can't experiment. He's technically very good.
Adrian, are you really comparing Bryan Gil to Luka Modric?
He's fast as feet as Paul Scholes.
Please don't tell me you're trying to compare Bryan Gil with Luka Modric.
Do you remember?
What I said was Luka Modric wasn't trusted in the central midfield. Okay. All English coaches, what they do, if they don't trust the player and he's good, got potential, they throw him out on the left. They always throw him left midfield. They do it all the time, right? And then Modric was trusted. He was brought in. No way in a million years am I classing Bryan Gil with a world-class player like Modric. But what I'm saying, to get the best out of him, I don't think it's on the wing.
Yeah, so I agree. But I don't think we have kind of a defensive midfielder that can be trusted to allow Gil the license to go forward. I think he's got fantastic footwork. I think he can beat a man at any point. But another thing I don't think with Gil is, if you watch him in front of goal and you watch him today, he's always got his head down. He's not painting a picture. We were saying earlier, we need a creative winger who can drop in the middle, and you don't know what he's going to do with the ball. With Gil, in my opinion, it's the same thing. He doesn't change the tempo of the game. He's always looking to drive at you, but he doesn't find that final pass. So he could be good in the middle, but we don't have the defensive.
Well, we've got a player with vision, a winger with vision. His name's Manor Solomon, who got 2 assists away at Burnley. He's not head down, arse up winger, you know.
And how old is Bryan Gil, guys?
He's 22.
Just 22, yeah.
It's his birthday soon. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday,
I just would say, you know, like we are very quick to judge, and I've done it myself. You know, when I looked at Oliver Skip, I said he's never going to make it, and he's always going to be the guy. You know, I've used this analogy before. If you've ever seen the Rocky film, when Mickey takes Rocky at the beginning into a chicken pen and tells him to chase the chicken, right?
Yeah.
He catches it. That's Oliver Skip. I hear what you're saying about Bryan Gil. He does have skill. Can he learn? Can he get game time and progress? I would say at his age, he's still got a chance to do that and become a better player, but it might not be at our club.
Yeah. You know what I think he'd be good in? I think he'd be good in. Imagine you had, you know how City play. Sorry, I know I talk about City a lot. You know how City play, and they've got Rodri, right? Rodri for me is the best player in the Premier League by a country mile. He's the most complete midfielder in the world right now for me. He sits there, makes games tick, and allows you to have two. Bryan Gil, I'm not putting him on the same level. Before people,
Bernardo Silva role.
Yeah, where it's that role where they're not attacking midfielders, they're not wingers, but they can just sort of float about, go where they want,
free roll,
back, the free roll. I think Bryan Gil, if he was playing regularly and developed nicely, now there's a lot of ifs there.
You need a Palhinha behind it. You need a Palhinha or something behind him, right?
You need someone like a Rodri. I think Spurs need still, for all our midfielders, I think you need a Rodri type, which is easier said than done. Someone that sits there, dictates the game, lets everyone else go forward and says, you know what, I'm going to sit here. I'll win the ball back. I'll be your
Bentancur at his best could be that guy.
Not to the level of Rodri, but sure. But
our version.
Would do a good job at that.
I don't think he's got the passing range. I don't think he's got the passing range for it. I think Sar's a brilliant athlete, but look, I think we all know Bryan Gil's not going to be here long term, don't we? I think we acknowledge that he'll probably be gone in either the next 25 days or in the summer, unless anyone else thinks otherwise.
On the subject of our midfielders, guys, question for you all: with the fact that Kulu can play in midfield, with Lo Celso, who's loving it at Tottenham, so he might be staying and getting it. He's got another year anyway. Then you've got the four that we like: Sarr, Bentancur, Basuma, Maddison. That's 6. We've skipped that 7. Why are we looking at a pricey player like Calvin Phillips or Conor Gallagher for 40 or 50 million pounds when, as Savas said and everyone said, we need a striker when we could use that money and go and get a Jimenez? I don't think we need another midfielder.
I'll tell you why, because Richarlison will end up at Saudi probably in the summer. They can't afford to let him go now in this window. There's interest in Saudi. He'll go in Saudi. Saudis will have no problem if he carries on scoring the odd goal here and there towards the end of the season. He'll have no problem playing out the 50, 60 million. And then we'll have to put that towards another striker. But again, the problem is, I still believe we'd be in the same position, because should that one striker get injured, we're back to the same position again of not having a striker. Top clubs have more than one striker. They have striking options. Liverpool have 5 strike options, permutations, right? I would agree with Sava in the sense that I don't think ours is fit for
ours
is
nowhere near good enough. But the midfield you talk about...
I want to bring Ash in, because Ash has been patiently waiting for about 45 minutes. I want Ash to have his say on. It's a good, interesting conversation about the midfield. If we get this Dragusin done, what do we do with whatever budget we have left? Do we go midfield or do we go attack? Ash, what would you do?
No, listen. I was gonna say that our bench just showed us where we're at. Like, the players that came on for me, Cesegnon, you had Dane Scarlett that everyone loves. You had Ryan Cesegnon. Like, for me, Donnelly came on as well. It's just not the level. It's just not the level, in my opinion. I just saw Bryan Gil come on, and in terms of decision making, I think that's his biggest downfall. Not his actual physicality.
Ash, would you take Manu Cohn over Phillips or Conor Gallagher?
Who?
Manu Cohn, Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yeah, I would take him. But the point I'm making is, like, at the moment, it's like, for Ange, he's working with what he has at the moment. He's working with a certain level. And I feel like in certain positions, we're we're not quite there yet. He's not able to switch things up, mix things up. That forward line, it needs work. Off the bench, the midfield needs work. The fullbacks, I think if your doggy gets injured, I don't know about Cesegnon. I'm not too sure if he can fill that role and not pick up another injury again, because he's been up and down with his hamstrings. So for me, yeah, I just saw Scarlett. I just wasn't convinced. I'm not going to lie. I saw Scarlett. He had a chance. He got in a position and the shot was wayward, in my opinion.
He wouldn't even be on the bench, Ash, would he?
Huh?
He wouldn't even be on the bench. Let's be honest. If Veliz and Son were there, he wouldn't even be on the bench.
He wouldn't. You're right.
But when Richarlison gets injured, we are...
I thought he did better than Richarlison when he came on.
I agree.
I thought he had better touch. He held the ball up.
He had technical ability. That's what I thought.
He held the ball up.
He scored a nice goal against Shakhtar Donetsk, couldn't he, on the turn?
What I would say is we're talking about Scarlett, who's just come back from Ipswich, who played about 2 games. So he's going to have no minutes, no chances to shoot and goal in an actual match. If you give Scarlett the time and minutes, which he may happen, knowing our luck, Richarlison could get injured against Man United. You've got a player that's showing technical ability, good on the half turn, and in my opinion, probably someone who deserves an opportunity maybe off the bench, because I don't think we have any other options, lads.
Why did he play?
We do actually. We have an option, but he's out on loan. He's done quite well at Excelsior. We sent Mark
No.
And Troy Parrott has come back. And he's a central striker. I mean, we're short of central strikers.
Adrian, that's silly now, mate. Troy Parrott, come on.
Come on.
He's got 7 GAs in 14 games, 13 games. I'm not advocating me bring him home. I'm just saying, like, Adrian's got a point. Like, he has done quite well at Excelsior. That's all the point he's making.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you think Scarlett only got less than 2 games in 22 for Ipswich?
Yeah, because he didn't suit this. I didn't fancy him.
He got a few at Portsmouth. Was it?
Well, Ipswich are fine. At the end of the day,
he didn't do well at Portsmouth.
But wouldn't you argue, Johnny, they're taking a big risk when they're smashing it in the Championship? They're neck and neck with Leicester when they haven't been in the Premier League for how long? Are they going to change the way they're playing just because to give Dane Scarlett some minutes? I disagree.
I totally agree with you. But what I would say to you is, cream rises to the top very quickly, and at 19. I'm not saying he should be the finished article, but I would say at 19 in the Championship, when you look at players at 19 at Man City or Man United or even at Newcastle, and the sort of games that they're putting out in the Premier League, I would expect him to be getting more minutes and affecting the game. I mean, I look at Alfie Devine. He's in League One. You know, he's affecting the game. He's doing very well. He'll probably need the Championship next year, but I want to see us producing players that can actually come into a game at this level at 19 and 20 and take command of it and grab their opportunity. And I'm not seeing it at the moment at all.
Well, Johnny, the reason we got Eloy Velez was because he scored 19 goals in 62 games from his club in Argentina.
Yeah.
Which is a very good strike. 1 in 3. I mean, it's a very good strike rate for a kid, and he is a kid. Right, and if you watch your video of him, the Scout in Brazil videos, like, he's very good in the air, and he drives forward, and he looks a striker. He looks a striker, right? That's all you can say when you do the eye test on him. No, he does look the part.
He does. He's a big
lad. I don't know if he'll come good, but his goal record's pretty good. It's good actually. It's good. 19 and 62 is good for a kid. It's very good.
But can I ask a question? Isn't it slightly worrying, right, that from the summer, 3 of Ange's signings were wide men or forwards, whatever you want to call them, right? Kulu, Brennan Johnson, Solomon, right? Isn't it slightly worrying that 3 of those were brought in under him, right, when we knew we needed better? Like, I'm not blaming Ange. I'm just trying to say, like, we've got so many options. Sean, you and I had this chat, I think, yesterday or today, whenever we stream so much, when we were talking about, you've got so many bodies up there now when everyone's fit. If you look at Son, Richarlison, Veliz, Kulu, Perisic, Johnson, Hill, Solomon. There's so many options.
To be Jota.
None of them are really stand out.
Yes. How have we built that with so many players where you go, none of them really stand out from the others, other than Son. I'm taking Son out of that.
We're not a team that goes out and spends 70 million quid, 80 million quid
you
on
don't
players.
have to. You don't have to. Haven't other teams proven that? Like, as we said,
also, there hasn't been. I mean, there's a dearth of number 9s out and out strikers out there. And the ones that are out there, good money, Osimhen, Kuku, Vlahovic, that can do that job. I think Vlahovic would be perfect for this system. Jimenez is getting a lot of, and then last season, why haven't we got Gift Orban? Why haven't we gone for him? So it's easy. When the player has one good season,
that's the guy who fell off.
That's not.
Listen, Vincent Janssen was the top.
Yeah, but
where are
Adrian, these are
number 9?
two different things. But
this
is two different things. But this is two different things. Yes, there is a dearth of number 9s out there in the world, but that doesn't mean for me that you just go and crowd your team with a lot of listen, I'm not having a go. I like Solomon. He's a decent little player. Brennan Johnson isn't for me. Kulu's a decent player. But when that's 3 of them that bought in one window, are you telling me that we couldn't have done better than those 3?
Yeah, Saba, all I'd ask, and I totally agree, I think we're missing quality. But I think Postecoglou sees it in the fact he loves his style of football. He's going to stick to that. Sure. So what does he want? He wants pacey wingers in behind, people who's not afraid to take on a man. And I can see why he signed Johnson, because he was the fastest player in the Premier League last season, and he was always looking to get in behind. So what I'd say,
player without the ball, not the fastest player with it. That's what worries me a little bit. I don't see Johnson like driving at players with the ball enough.
I agree.
Anything like
we looked at Johnson before Ange coming. Let's be fair, he wasn't an Ange player.
Yeah, but
that's not what we heard. Hang on, Adrian. We can't do this now, right? Ange Postecoglou made this rod for his own back in the summer. He said every player that comes through this door.
I know what he said.
Hang on, every player that comes through this door, I sign off. Right now, all we heard from everybody in that last week of the window was, this is Ange's number 1. I'm talking about the Alistair Golds. I'm talking about the Romanos. They all said Ange's first choice, Brennan Johnson. So he's got to make that work. And for me, the constant playing him on the left doesn't work. And if you're going to play him on the right, get him tracking back and get him taking his man on. For a player with pace, I don't see him beating his man. Beat your man.
He frustrates me. He's learning. I know he's learning, and I hope that next year he'll have a breakout year. But for me, I just think that I don't think he's got a big enough engine. Like, you compare the engine on him to Kulusevski. Kulusevski can do 2 90-minute games and still be running. Brennan Johnson, to me, looks like he's blowing chunks after 6 or 7 times with the ball, right? And he doesn't track back. It's not like he's getting back and helping out defensively. Like, look at Udogie today. Like, in the space of 3 minutes, he started a move on his own goal line, sprints 100 meters, wins a corner kick. From the corner kick, it gets knocked out and they break on us. And he's the guy who gets back alongside Emerson Royale to tidy it up. So he's basically done 200-meter sprints in the space of about 2 minutes. Brennan Johnson gets the ball once, runs at a player, and then he looks like he's... Someone said it in the comments. Every time the camera goes on him, he looks like he's stressed. He looks like a 16-year-old who's walking into a GCSE exam and has forgotten his pen. And he's gone...
But Sean, can we call it for what it is as well? Can we call out his... We're talking about him as a striker and his pace, and we're talking about how weak he looks, or he looks stressed. Can we just call out some basics here? Because I don't feel like we do this enough. His touch, his control. He never looks in control of the ball. His first touch is heavy. This is 50 million. This is 50 million pounds the club have just gone and spent on this. Like, when people are going, it's the start of a journey.
For Elise or Eze, a similar amount.
Well, Chelsea were going to spend 45 million on Elise, weren't they? And then he came back and signed the. Then he came back.
Listen, I've got to tell you, Eze and Elise, with the greatest respect, are on levels way above Brennan Johnson.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Just like non-comparable. And I've got to be honest with you, this one's on Ange. This is a player that Ange wanted. My best mate looks after Eze, so I'm not even going to comment on it. But I just say that just class act. I mean, he played last night. He's not fully fit. In fact, he shouldn't even have been playing last night. But I just think that, we've made some fantastic recruitment when there's been no pressure. the SARS, the Destiny, Vicario, and players like that. I agree with Sava. I felt that this deal smacked of desperation, a throw of the dice to bring someone in.
Homegrown, to improve the homegrown numbers.
He's got no bite to him. I like a player to have a little bit of nastiness about him.
Yeah, he looks like he's a nice boy, isn't he? He looks like
too nice.
Do you see that thing on Sky on Tottenham social media?
Yeah.
When they were all walking in and they had to show their home screen and a picture of his mum.
You called that as well.
But this goes back to Adrian's point.
Can we press pause on the conversation for a second? It's got a couple of super chats that were put in quite a while ago. Blaine, big up, Blaine. Hope you're okay, mate. Here's a thought. Our front four tonight can literally only play with one foot. Kulu has a left foot, Johnson on his right foot, Lo Celso left, and Richie doesn't have a foot at all. It's absolutely spot on, mate. We have no dexterity, no, what do they call it? Ambipedal in our footwork. And
they're not ambidextrous.
Yeah, I used to say ambidextrous, and then someone in the comments corrected me and said it's not ambidextrous, it's ambipedal when it comes to the feet. So learn something new every day.
Did you say?
Yeah, like a certain prince.
Be saying that
allegedly.
in public. I don't believe we're on YouTube.
Edward says I would even go out and say get Dybala. I mean, I think there's a myth about him being massively injury prone.
13 mil.
Release 13 million.
Because he's 30 or approaching 31, is he? He's a World Cup winner.
And he's someone who can slow down the game and has the quality in the final
he
third.
Is.
Yeah, he's the player you're talking about.
Be, and because he's mainly a number 10, he'd be like another, we'd go back to say like a Van der Vaart type for us because he's quality.
And he's someone who could step up in the big games as well. I think Sava hit the nail on the head. You look at that front three, apart from Son, you haven't really got anyone where you feel like they've got that star quality to change a game. Dybala, that was the biggest signing we ever missed out on after that Champions League final. I was gutted for months. Realistically, if you want to put another wrong right and pick him up now and give him the wages, then you never know. Spurs could really pick it up with 6 months to go.
Guys, what do you think of Solomon that you've seen him? I mean, when I see him come on, he played a cameo role and he was taking players on the right. And then I see him, I thought, okay, he's a winger who takes players on. I ain't seen much of him. Watch the scouting videos, so you have a look at that. And then he comes on and he plays on the left away at Burnley and he gets 2 assists and he looks round and he's not a lightweight winger. And he kept Mudryk out the Shakhtar Donetsk side when he was there. And Mudryk has been shit this year for Chelsea. He's shown flashes, but he's not been great, you know, for how much he costs. And I just think there's something there. But we obviously...
Manuel Solomon, to me, statistically, I know stats aren't everything, but when you dial up, I was doing this the other day, I was looking for a left winger that, you know, like an unknown, untapped superstar, maybe that was hiding in the Icelandic leagues or whatever. I was doing it with Johnny, right? And we've dialed up all these things, all the filters to try and find people that could do what we did. And funnily enough, Manuel Solomon's stats were right up there with the very best.
Number 5, I think, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the top 5. He's up there with Mbappe and Vinny Jr. Yeah, and then like number 5 on the list was Manuel Solomon. So I was like, maybe we got the guy we need all along. He's just been injured. You know, we'll have to
At least he's different. I hope he is. At least he's different to the others, right? He goes on the outside. Or listen, I'm not going to sit here and champion. I want Manuel Solomon if we're going to have to try and win titles. But he goes wide. Sorry, he can go on the outside, he can come on the inside, right foot, left foot. He'll mix it up. He'll go on the outside and try and get crosses in. He'll cut inside and have shots. He's something different. And what he's got is he's got good footwork. He's got good footwork. I'm not saying he's amazing, but for what we've been left with, I think we've built that area of the pitch quite poorly over the last 3 or 4 years. And I think that's catching up with us now. But can I just quickly go back to the Dybala thing? Sorry, just really, really quickly.
Yeah.
The one key thing is here that I know everybody automatically goes to injury prone. I just want to say, if you actually break it down, and
he's not that injury prone. I'm saying it's a myth. It's a myth. You've actually looked.
I know.
That's
what I'm saying, Sean. When you actually break it down, he actually plays more. He's available for more minutes of football a year than Christian Romero is. Right? I'm not knocking Romero, but I'm saying we all sit here and go, Romero's a beast. He's a class player. And we don't want Dybala. He's injury prone. He's available for more minutes of his club season for the last 6 years than Romero is.
He's available for 50% of the games. and he's only costing you 13 million. And I think you are, Jack. I think the point you're making about, and I think Savvy, you made it as well. Piggybacking off of both of your points there. You're like 60 minutes in, and you need a goal. You bring him off the bench. You know, Aston Villa got that player. I forget my name. Who's the player that Aston Villa's got? Who is it?
I was going to say Buendia. Oh, Zaniolo. Are you thinking of
Zaniolo? Right? They got a player they can turn to. Doesn't start for them. He comes off the bench after 70 minutes when they need a goal. Just adds a little bit of spice, a little bit of creativity. Dybala for me, if he's only 13 million quid,
it's a
how much the wages?
Yeah, I'd go for him.
How much the wages?
On the sick note thing, I mean, Darren Ant was classed as a sick note. Really?
How much the wages?
300 games for Spurs, you know.
I think they're expensive. I think he's on like £200 a week.
I heard it was 130.
Oh, really?
We just got rid of Eric Dyer was on 80 and Lloris was on 100. So we saved 180 grand a week.
Listen, he's on big money. The one thing is, like, I don't think I can remember sitting in the stands and listening so universally to sides of the same cry when Kulu's playing his football and he cuts back onto that other foot. You hear everyone say the same thing.
Don't swear. Sorry.
Sorry.
I've got a question for Ash.
I saw that coming.
I've got a question for Ash because he hasn't spoken for a while. I've got a question for Ash.
Go on.
Would you take Arthur Lamiran over Calvin Phillips and Conor Gallagher from FC Antwerp?
I don't really rate Gallagher as high as everyone else. Phillips.
The issue, Ash. The issue is.
Have you seen Arthur there? And you go about a lot. So
we're going to have is homegrown. So we're going to go after Phillips and Gallagher. We're going to go after Tomori. We're going to go after these players because we're going to have a big issue with homegrown.
We haven't no Barry. Listen, we haven't because we have Adrian.
We have Adrian.
Only if we get rid of them. Hold on. If you're talking numbers, not whether they're good enough, right? Because you've got Austin, Whiteman, Forster, right? Then you've got Skip, you've got Johnson, you've got Davies, you've got Madison. That's 7, and the 3 out on loan. Hold on, 7. The 3 out on loan. Tanganga, Spence, and Roden. There's actually 11. We've actually got 11.
Okay, Adrian. One out of that 11. Yeah. 1 out of that 11 improves our team or starts.
I'm not saying that. I'm not arguing on that point.
So yeah, we haven't got a problem with homegrown numbers. We've got a problem with homegrown quality.
Yeah,
but I think
Tanganga, all those players you named, 3 of them are goalkeepers.
Okay, yeah. Too much is made of the 25 on the squad. Ideally, if you're like a Man City, you've got 11 on the field. You've got 5 substitutes you can draw, and that's 16. Ideally, you want about 18 quality players. You can look at your bench and think, it can't be all attackers. You've got defender, midfielders. But I can bring someone on. We don't lose nothing by bringing that person on, right? And they offer something a bit different. So the other 7 players in your squad, you can mix and match. If Skip stays in his homegrown, it doesn't bother me as long as he's player 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, or 5 or whatever. That doesn't bother me so much. If we have to make the homegrown out that way, that doesn't bother me. If he plays, it bothers me. But I mean,
but for me, I'd take Phillips or Gallagher over Skip or Højbjerg in that midfield.
All day.
That would prove our first.
I would, but I'd go for the kid at FCM too. I'd get Thomas.
Yeah, but I think what we're missing here in all of this, we can sit here and say, yeah, we've got 11. If we're going to say those 11 are homegrown, right? First of all, Joe Rodon should be nowhere near Tottenham Hotspur Football Club next season.
Nowhere near.
True.
Joe Rodon. Joe Rodinson, Ryan Cesegnon should be nowhere near Tottenham Hotspur Football Club next season, right? Ollie Skip should be nowhere near Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. You've got 3 goalkeepers there, right? One is going to retire in about a year, right? In terms of Fraser Forster, right? Yeah. You've got the other 2 that at some point the penny's going to drop in their head and they're going to go, oh, we're 24 or 25 and we've never played football. Let's go and join. Hang on. That's my point. They're going to go, right, let me go and join an MLS team, a League One team, a Championship. They're going to go and play, right? So now you've got, right, Rodon, Cesegnon, that's 2, Skip. You've got the 3 goalkeepers, that's 6. You can't have that as the nucleus of your homegrown players. So you need listen, if you said to me right now, right, that we're going to sell Højbjerg and Skip and you're going to bring in Conor Gallagher, I think whether or not people think he's the greatest player, Conor Gallagher,
Great deal.
This is what I don't get, is the absolute most complete Ange Postecoglou midfielder in the
100%.
league, right?
100%.
This is the thing. People look past. Is he the silky smooth player that everyone thinks? Is he the Bentancur? Is he the Maddison? No. But what he is every game for Chelsea, right? Every game, he works his backside off. He covers more ground than any other player in that Chelsea team. He tackles. He drives forward with a ball. The one thing we've been missing since Basuma's been out is no one picks it up in
He's on that
centre mid,
pitch tonight.
brings it up.
He comes off the bench after 50 minutes, just for example. That game goes up a notch in energy and pace. Like that.
Does Conor Gallagher keep Maddison, Bentancur, right? Basuma.
Yeah, but it's not about that. I totally agree with Sam.
Kulusevski.
He's better than Lo Celso. He's better than Lo Celso.
Conor Gallagher isn't the perfect player, but he's the perfect player for a Postecoglou system. The work rate he has off the ball is spot on. He has creativity. Yes, it's not Maddison or Kulusevski, but he's got a bit of everything. And when you're looking at squad depth and when you've got these injuries and you're trying to keep the tempo high, which I think is important, like you say, obviously you need to calm down and find the pass like we were saying. But Tottenham were at their best this season when they knew what everyone's role was. And Gallagher, for that role for Postecoglou, I think would be brilliant. And he's homegrown for 40 million. If we can invest on it, I think it's a great deal.
But Jack,
I agree with what you're saying, Stavro, on the goalkeeping front, because I am reading between the lines here. I mean, Austin, under 21, England goalkeeper. No, thank you. Whiteman, no, thank you. Come out. And then you read between the lines and you hear that, like, hang about. Forster, who's 37, 38, is given a year's contract, right? Extra year.
Right.
That don't say a lot for Brandon Austin and Alfie Whiteman, right? But what it tells me is Josh Keeley goes out on loan to Barnet. Because to me, that tells me that when Foster ends his contract next year, Josh Keeley's number 2 to Vicaria. Because he looks
well, he's very good. But what about Gunter? You've got Gunter as well. We've got 2 young.
Yeah, you got Gunter. Yeah. Anyone other than Austin and Whiteman, Johnny. To me,
I just think you're massively playing down the homegrown thing. The one key thing that Conor Gallagher gives you as well, right? That more than anything, for me, he ticks every box. He can play any of the midfield roles. He's got a wonderful engine. He's always fit. You look at all of ours. Basuma's injury record over the years. Bentancur's had a year out. Maddison's got injury problems, right? When you look at this guy, you've got to remember that next year, and I think we've got to think bigger than now. Next year, we're going to be playing European football, right? And we're going to need to be able to rotate midfielders. So for me,
more performances like that tonight, we might not be.
But Sean, my point is, right, is that when we say things like, is he going to keep this player out of the team? Hasn't the last 10 games?
No, you need
anything,
depth,
right? You've got to have depth. And for me, he's more available than Lo Celso is. He's Lo Celso's made of biscuits. How many times today was Lo Celso on the floor? Always injured, always on the floor. For me, listen, I'm not saying Conor Gallagher's my number 1 choice. But if you're going to go and get a homegrown English player, he is perfect for what Postecoglou does. For me,
100%.
For me,
I agree.
I'm not doing that for homegrown. I'm not against that. If you're saying it's for homegrown, even the same with Phillips. I'd rather take a punt on Arthur Vermeeren. He's 18.
Yeah, but he's not homegrown, right?
He's not going to play. He's not going to play.
But
he's 18. He's 18.
Still the homegrown. I mean, people are talking as if it's like you've got to have 25 superb quality players in your squad. Man City haven't got that. Even Man City have got 17, 18 like that.
Yeah, but listen, we're not doubting he's.
So you can fill. You've got spaces to fill with either kids or whatever in your squad.
Listen, hang on a second, right? The thing is, you're going to sign an 18-year-old. He's going to come to the club and he's going to sit there and rot because
he's never going to play.
He is never going to play. I hear what you're saying. I'm not denying he's a player. Yeah, I know he's a good player, but he's going to rot because with everyone fit, he ain't going to get in that team, right? He's just not going to get in that team. The other thing we have to bear in mind, the talent that is coming.
I don't know about that. Arthur Vermeeren's a really, really, really.
No, he's
good
a top player. I think he's a top player, but with everyone fit. Well, Pape Sarr's squeezed in at 19.
right?
Yeah, no,
because everyone's not fit.
And he took his opportunity.
Correct.
Because everyone's not fit. If everyone was fit at the beginning of the season, you know it would have been Bentancur, Basuma, and Maddison.
Correct.
Yeah,
let's be brutally honest.
They were on point. So if those three play again in a 4-3-3 and they're on point, would a Conor Gallagher in that team? No, he wouldn't.
But you rotate. But
I know you rotate the squad.
We're doing that thing again where this year we are very lucky. Just think back to the summer when last season when everyone was going, we want to finish 7th. Do you remember, Sean? I was going, please, not 7th. This squad, we're gonna be awful.
Yeah, if we qualified where Aston Villa did, we would be 12th.
Oh, absolutely. Our manager came out after Brighton and said, we're too tired. We're too tired. We've played less games than anyone else. Right? And we're tired. Right? Yeah. For me, now imagine tonight's game. You didn't have Ollie Skip in there. You had Conor Gallagher. Right? Here's the levels we're talking about. Now, I'm not saying Conor Gallagher is Maddison, but Conor Gallagher will make that his presence known in midfield. He will be putting the tackles in, winning the ball, driving forward, giving it to better players. I think what we can't do is champion a manager and then not champion players that fit his style.
Even 40 million to win. If you could sell Højbjerg for 25 million, if you could, I know it's easy said than done, but if you can sell him for 25 million and bring in a Conor Gallagher for 40 million, you spent net 15 million quid and you have leveled up on your all-round like midfield versatile utility player, and you've leveled up your homegrown. It's a no-brainer. Unfortunately, I feel like it's a moot point because he doesn't want to go.
Yeah, sure.
Chelsea has said it live with the player. Right? If the player said no, then it's game over, isn't it? You know.
What about Matt O'Reilly?
I'm not as mad about him as you. A lot of you lot think Matt O'Reilly's excellent. I think I don't know about him.
Watch him.
I prefer Blimey.
He's a player. He's a football. I'm telling you, Matt O'Reilly is a player.
I haven't watched him enough. I haven't watched him enough to form a strong opinion.
Good passing, good tackling.
What about the 22-year-old at Girona? Is his name Miguel Gutierrez or Victorias or something like that? Have you seen him?
No, not Victoria. I'll tell you who I like, but many people think he won't fit the system. I like, and I don't think we'll get him. Yeah, I think Messi will be dope. I was like
Messi and Skip.
I like. I said it on my show. I like the Forest midfielder.
Gibbs
White.
Gibbs White.
Class.
He's English. The reason why I like him is because I look at players that can do through balls. He's someone that can do like a through ball. Like as much as Conor Gallagher's good in terms of like passing through the middle and splitting teams open, I think that's the thing I'm missing from him. Like that's it. And I want to see Conor Gallagher drive with the ball in that final third, that progressive drive. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what Sarr does? That's what I want.
Palace.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Conor Gallagher played Palace away and he was on loan there. I thought it was superb, right? I thought it was superb, but
whether he could do it at a bigger club, that was my problem. You know what I'm saying?
Chelsea have been a mess, right? So isn't it difficult to? Isn't it difficult to say?
I don't know. I've just when I've watched him, I can only go on what I watch. That's all it is. I do hear what people are saying about that he can play in multiple positions and Chelsea they're poor and whatnot. It's just my opinion. When I saw Morgan Gibbs White at Wolves, I thought it was amazing, and then he went to Forest, and then I thought it was amazing again. But then the argument is he hasn't been at that bigger club, will he?
And he can only do one role, Ash, right?
You know what I mean?
He's not got the versatility of a Conor Gallagher.
How consistent is he been? Because Wolves got rid of him. How consistent?
I think Spurs could play with 2 8s.
Wolves didn't get rid of him. Wolves cashed in. They got 48 million quid for Morgan Gibbs White.
Yeah, they did. But I don't know. I was looking at him. I thought at the time they were going to have some type of trouble with FPP, whatever it's called, FFP. So I started looking at him, but I think they may have been cleared of it. But that's why I started looking at him a little bit closer, because I thought, if they've got FFP like Everton, then maybe Spurs could cash in and grab like an English player of that quality. But I just think he can play that 8 role. Like if Spurs,
Brennan Johnson came through Nottingham Forest Academy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's why they need Gallagher.
50 million quid from us against their FFP.
That's why they need Gallagher to go, Chelsea, because that whatever they get from Gallagher, the whole 100% goes against their FFP.
Yeah.
You know, that's how crucial, you know, selling a Gallagher is. The
But
problem
they could
is
sell Dybala, couldn't they?
Pardon?
They could sell Chalobah, they could sell Chukwuemeka, they could sell a few players.
Yeah. Chalobah, I'm not mad at either. As a
you know,
defender.
we're not producing. Our academy at the moment is not producing the level.
What it is
that
with our
Chelsea
academy,
and
Johnny,
us
when Paratici sorted me out, even Mourinho said it. He said, "Yeah, Spurs have got a great academy players," but he said they're the younger group. They're not the ones that were 21.
3 years away
These were
from
the ones
being...
that were brought in that were younger.
Mikey Moores.
Mikey Moores, phenomenal. I mean, he scored something like 17 goals in 14 games. He got a hat-trick against Croatia. His assist in that. His stats are mental, and yet Donnelly's stats are mental as well. They're not as good as Mikey Moore's, but they're mental as well. But
don't we need to do what Chelsea have done? Listen, I'm not sitting here saying Chelsea are the greatest club, but one thing Chelsea have done better than any other club in the last decade is they've brought through loads of young players, right? But not young players like when we bring through a Troy Parrott and send him out on loan and go, oh, this kid could be. They bring through these players. They send them out at a good age to good clubs. Like these guys go and play at good clubs, get a schooling. And then even if they don't come back and play first team football for Chelsea, they sell them for like 25, 30 million.
Changed now, Sava, it's changed because Chelsea were exploiting exactly what you were saying with the Tomores and what's his name at Roma,
Tammy
Abraham.
Yeah, you know what they did was they were set at one stage. They had 32 players out on loan, and so they changed the law and the rules to negate what Chelsea were doing.
Sure.
They changed the law so many times because of Chelsea's actions.
Yeah. So now,
Johnny, I understand
contracting as well. It's amazing.
I understand that, Johnny. But if you look at just a selection of players that Chelsea have done brilliantly with in the last decade, when you look at players that haven't made it at Chelsea per se, but have gone for big money. When you look at Tariq Lamptey, when you look at Mason Mount. I'm not saying he didn't make it, Chelsea. Mason Mount. When you look at Tammy Abraham, Tomori, Guehi, right? I'm sure there's loads more that I've not thought about there.
Colwell,
we do. Our players. The worrying thing for us is all our players go on loan to Ipswich, Portsmouth. They go on loan to players that even if they come back and don't make it, they're worth $1 million. They're worth 750,000. Yeah. Man City have followed the same suit. Man City now, you think every year you look at Man City, they're selling 2 or 3 kids for 15, 20 million that no one's heard of, but are brilliant, and the likes of Southampton are picking them up. Spurs have to get to that point where even if these young players aren't making it at Spurs, that we're going to get 10, 15, 20 million for them. But I keep hearing this myth about how good we are, our youth sides, but so far for years, nothing has come through that has stuck, right? Nothing's come through that's either stuck in the first team or we sold for big money. Unless anyone can prove.
Only Kane wins and skip. Like, so it depends how you view them. But even Chelsea, we need to create that pathway now. And there is a good crop there. I've watched them. They look decent. I don't know if they'll make it. But Chelsea, then at the end of the day, they'll sell them because like Todd Bowley will just go out, and if it's a player and the club they want to buy the player off, so how much do you want for him? And the club go, we want 50 mil for this player. Todd Bowley goes, I'll give you 100 mil, take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's like. Right?
They won't be doing that much longer. I can tell you that.
No, they're under FFP. Well, they're going to get points deduction anyway. So
we had Noni. What's his name? Noni Madueke. Noni Madueke. That he went to PSV, and then we had Edwards as well.
Yeah.
How much did we get for them, Ash?
Nothing.
Exactly. I'm saying if we dealt with them properly, we dealt with them.
Yeah. We've got a sell-on clause with Edwards. So we might.
And what's name left us in the summer, and he's coming back.
Yeah. And then you get players that do well that don't go out on loan. I mean, like Skip went out on loan, Harvey White went out on loan, Parrott's out on loan, Scarlett went out on loan.
They're all low level. They're all low levels.
But then you You get young players who want to run before they can walk, like, say, a Dylan Marcandy. He didn't go out on loan. I'm sad he got injured when he went to Blackburn. Now he's out. I think
they got 500 grand for him.
And now he's at Edinburgh and all that. But he got impatient, so he wanted to go. So he goes to Blackburn, I think they loaned him out to Edinburgh because he got a bad injury, didn't he, when he went there, which is sad.
Mundell went off. Mundell left. Romain Mundell left. And now he's looking to come back to... there's lots of interest in him coming back into either the Premier League or into the Championship, you know?
But we're getting a better crop of youngsters in because since Dean Rastrick went, right, they broke the pay structure all through the academy levels, and now we're paying money for these players. You know,
this is true.
we're buying their mums and dads cars and houses and things.
This is not completely true. This is not completely true, is it?
It's a large part of the story. No, it is a large part.
I mean, just look straight. I mean, hang on, who are we talking about? They bought through so many.
That's not right.
In the last decade, this is not true. They
buy players that are 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So they haven't developed them since the age of 5.
Okay, but
I'm not interested. If you
Spurs can do that.
Team, if Spurs bought a team of players that they bought at 15 and 16, they turned out to be world beaters and players we were selling for 30, 35 million every year. Hallelujah, praise the Lord.
And Johnny,
the biggest myth with the top clubs is it's like, oh, Mourinho brings youngsters through, or Conte brings youngsters through. That's the biggest BS going. The only time they ever bring youngsters through, right, is when they have such an injury crisis. I think the only one that come through Manuel was McTominay, right, who come through when they were desperate, right? Who else, right?
Well, Garnacho's only 18.
You had Greenwood, like, but he got involved in beating up his girlfriend or whatever it was, like.
And the young kid, 18-year-old who played for
Alestri, they got loads of.
But the thing is as well though. Even if we're saying, Chelsea pick players up at 15, 16, do we all realise how much you have to coach and guide a player through from 15 to 16 to make Premier League debuts?
Correct.
We're making out like. We pick them up at 15 and they're ready to drop in. They've still got to do everything, but. Listen, the difference is Spurs could go and do that. Go and get the best 15, 16-year-olds then. Bring them through in 3 years. Our level of bringing through young players for the last...
It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
Other than Harry Kane. Right, okay, here you go. Who's the best 3 in the Premier League era? And then how much money did we get for them? Here we go. This is a good question. The best Sol 3 Campbell. We've bought through. Sol Campbell, 0. Harry Kane, 100 million. And Ledley King, 0.
Ledley King, yeah.
Right. This is the thing.
We only sold one.
Berbatov.
Bought him through.
No. I'm saying come through from our youth team. Through from our academy. Other than that, we've just had a string of
Dean Marney,
of Jamie O'Hara's, Dean Marney's, Bentaleb, Carroll, Livermore, Mason, Winks, Skip. It's like, and they're all cookie cutter. They're all midfielders that don't do a lot. Winks is reborn.
Well,
guys, it's midnight. It's been a long show. It's been a wonderful conversation. Really appreciate it. But I think it's probably time to wrap it up. Does anyone have any channel? I guess everyone's got their channels. Everyone's channels are in the description. If anyone's got anything they want to promote coming up, any big shows or anything tomorrow, let us know.
I'm selling the new Executioner. I'm not going to promote that.
Otherwise, guys, you can find all of the links in the description. I'll say a massive thank you to everyone that's on the chat. Jack, brilliant to have you on.
Good show, guys. Great chat.
Ash, Johnny, Nick, Adrian. Massive thank you to Henry, to Jacob, and to James as well. And someone else. Was there someone else? No, that's the 10 of us. Massive thank you to everyone in the chat as well. It's been a long night. I'm absolutely shattered. Tottenham have qualified into the 4th round of the FA Cup. When's the draw?
Thanks for the invite.
You always know
Monday. It's Monday.
Sean, I think the link might not work, but if anyone is interested, it's Spurs related. You can type it up on YouTube, Instagram, and YouTube. I've kind of copied Sean's idea, a bit of a steal, but I love it. So I've done a walking and talking.
Plagiarized him, yeah.
If you want to copy him,
there's no such thing as copying in this. All we do is talk about Tottenham. We're all copying each other. If anyone's copying anyone, we're all copying each other. So it doesn't matter.
I just lost my Instagram account, Spurs related.
That's because you've been a naughty boy, Johnny.
Yeah, no, I posted an elbow of Bryan Gil's elbow and I lost 9,500 of my followers. Just went. Instagram took the account away.
Guys, don't go anywhere. You can find Johnny on Instagram. You can find Johnny. I'll put Johnny's link for Twitter in the description. You can find all of his stuff there. Guys, don't go anywhere. For people that are still watching, I'm going to redirect you over to Jacob at United Spurs of America. Massive shout out to everyone. Tottenham are through to the 4th round. Monday night, 7:30, draw for the 4th.
Come on, you Spurs.
And see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment.
Take care, guys. Take care.
Yes.
Come on, you Spurs.